Chapter 521 Two Tapers. Leeked dumplings are not a proper meal after all. Li Sijing ate them all, but she still felt unfull. So she could only take out 2 hot buns from the mustard space. After eating all of them, she finally felt full. During the meal, Li Sijing also dealt with the affairs of the trading area. 10 kilograms of potatoes quietly hung in the trading area. It took only 1 or 2 minutes for them to be discovered. Then they were all sold out within 1 minute. Directly brought 100 units of basic materials to Li Sijing. This matter caused some discussion in the regional channel. Li Sijing was not very interested in these, and directly turned off the blue screen. However, before turning it off, she also looked at her current mood value. 87 of 111. At this time, there were still 10 minutes left before the 4th darkness at 1 o'clock. Li Sijing sat in her seat for a while. Then, before 1 o'clock, he came to the planting pot. Li Sijing prepared to break off the corn cobs in the planting pot 2 minutes in advance, in order to avoid being too busy when 1 o'clock came. After all the 10 kilograms of corn cobs were put into the mustard space, Li Sijing hurriedly planted potatoes in the 2 planting pots again. When Li Sijing sat back in his seat again, the time finally came to 1 o'clock. Darkness fell. The lights outside the car were suppressed again, and the speed of the RV slowed down, facing the 7 somewhat violent tapers outside the car. Although Li Sijing looked alert, his body was quite calm. After all, the unknown is the most terrifying. Now, the rules for these tapers to enter the car have been almost figured out. Li Sijing was naturally adept at dealing with it. So, more than 10 minutes later, when another taper appeared in front of her without any signs from outside the car, Li Sijing's face did not change at all, and she turned on the battle mode. 10 minutes later, the taper was solved neatly. Li Sijing did not relax her vigilance because of this. It was not until a few minutes later that the darkness finally ended. Li Sijing really let down his guard and relaxed completely. At this time, more than half of the time of the natural disaster day had passed. The time came to 1:30, and Li Sijing had also driven for 4.5 hours. As for the driving distance during this period, it was about 175 kilometers in total. In other words, she could reach the destination with 75 kilometers left. Li Sijing couldn't help but calculate in her mind according to the previous driving speed. Unfortunately, it should be impossible to reach the destination at 3 o'clock. That means that Li Sijing may have to experience 2 more darkness comings. In this case, she should hurry up and take a rest. So, Li Sijing took out the timer. After setting the alarm for 25 minutes, she leaned back on the chair to rest. After several hours of busy work, Li Sijing almost fell asleep as soon as she closed her eyes. The 25 minutes passed in a blink of an eye. When the alarm rang, Li Sijing opened her eyes reluctantly. She wanted to continue sleeping, but unfortunately, the 5th darkness would come in another minute or 2. Li Sijing rubbed her cheeks with both hands to make herself more awake. Then she looked outside the car, and the remaining 6 tapers were waiting for the time to come. The 5th darkness came as expected, and it was no different from the previous ones. Of course, a taper came in from outside the car, which was also an inevitable plot. So, when Li Sijing got rid of this taper, the number of tapers outside the car directly changed from 6 to 5. Finally, this darkness came to an end, and 2:30 arrived, although it was not long after lunch. But the relaxed Li Sijing couldn't help but take out snacks to eat. While eating, he also clicked on the regional channel. Unfortunately, at this time, everyone in the area was working hard to survive. So, there were not many chat messages. Bored Li Sijing had to switch to the world channel, taking the opportunity to check her ranking on the leaderboard. Fortunately, Li Sijing still sat firmly in the first place, and there were no accidents. The following time was quite leisurely. Until 2:55, Li Sijing stood in front of the planting pot again, because the oranges on the orange tree in another planting pot were about to mature, and in order to wait for herself, she could concentrate on dealing with the coming of darkness. Li Sijing still decided to pick the oranges in advance according to the previous strategy. This time, a total of 90 kilograms of oranges were harvested. After all the oranges were put into the mustard space, Li Sijing returned to his seat and took a last look at the itinerary. 237 kilometers. In other words, Li Sijing still had the last 13 kilometers to the finish line. After the 6th darkness came, it was almost the end. Victory is expected. For the first time, Li Sijing was no longer disgusted by the coming darkness. Instead, She was eager to try. After all, as long as she passed this darkness, Li Sijing's natural disaster day was almost over. At 3 o'clock, the sixth darkness came officially. Li Sijing looked at the 5 tapers outside the car, just like looking at lambs to be slaughtered. And a few minutes later, a taper rushed into the car like a lamb. Since it was a lamb, it was natural to fatten it up before killing it. So, Li Sijing tried to mobilize his emotions and make the taper's body solid. Afterwards, it took a few minutes to get rid of it neatly. At this time, it was only a little over 3 o'clock. At this last moment, Li Sijing still did not dare to relax his vigilance. I can only wait quietly. When will the darkness pass? When the time came to 3:28, there were only 2 minutes left before the dark reward. The RV has traveled 249 kilometers. Only the last 1 kilometer is left to reach the end. If it were in another world. At this time, Li Sijing could almost see the end building. Right? Unfortunately, in this world of endless darkness, you can't see far away. There is only 1 minute left before the end of the darkness. Just when Li Sijing couldn't help but gradually relax her vigilance, suddenly, her heart issued another danger warning. The sixth sense was passively triggered for the second time today. Li Sijing's relaxed demeanor suddenly tensed up. Then the next moment, she saw a taper entering the car from outside again. 2 tapers actually passed through the barrier of the RV and entered the car when darkness fell. And the time is still at this moment when it is about to end. Is this intentional? While dealing with the taper that suddenly appeared in front of her, Li Sijing complained in her heart. At this time, the time has come to 3:30. The sixth darkness has ended, and the speed of the RV has increased again. So, without waiting for Li Sijing to mobilize her emotions, the taper's body became solid. The RV has already driven into the terminal building in the dark. Without Li Sijing's instructions, Shinkong stopped randomly after driving into the terminal building. The notification sound of the game also sounded. But unfortunately, Li Sijing had no time to pay attention to it at this moment. Now, the taper in front of her has become solid. Li Sijing is concentrating on solving it. Chapter 522: The Secret and Essence of the Survival Game. The World of Eternal Night. The 7th day. 3:30 p.m. In the spacious terminal building. It took Li Sijing several minutes to get rid of the taper in the car. The fireworks made by the taper flashed in the car for a while, and then disappeared. At this time, Li Sijing finally had time to pay attention to other issues. First of all, it was the corn that had already matured in the planting pot. After the corn was harvested, potatoes were planted again. Then, there were the tapers outside the car. Li Sijing had to get off the car later. So of course, all the tapers outside the car had to be eliminated. However, when Li Sijing looked out of the car window, he found that there was not a single taper around the RV. There were 5 tapers before. And after Li Sijing killed 2 of them, shouldn't there be 3 more? So, where did the 3 tapers outside the car go? After turning around in the car, they couldn't find them. Li Sijing couldn't help but guess. Could it be when entering the terminal building? The tapers outside the car were directly isolated outside the building? If so, it's not bad. So, Li Sijing sat down again. Then he told Shinkong to drive the RV to the stairs on the 2nd floor. Then, Li Sijing began to recall the game notification that he had just ignored. Congratulations. You are the first player to reach the end of the natural disaster. You can click on the World channel to receive your rewards and understand the ultimate nature and secrets of the game. At this time, in the terminal building, Shinkong, who had driven a circle, also spoke. Master, I didn't find the staircase you mentioned in the building. Combining the information before and after. What else did Li Sijing not understand? So, there is no 2nd floor in the building this time? This survival game is quite easy. However, Li Sijing didn't want to complain about this at this time. She was very interested in the essence and secrets mentioned in the game notification. So, Li Sijing first told Shinkong to drive the car to the corner next to the edge, so as not to stop in the middle and be accidentally hit by other people who reached the end in the dark. Then, Li Sijing opened the World channel. I saw that there was only 1 ranking icon in the World channel. Now there are 2 more icons next to it. On one of the icons, the word reward was written. As for the other icon, there was no word on it. But at the first glance of the round icon, Li Sijing recognized that it was the appearance of the Earth. Li Sijing was very curious about these 2 icons. However, she still clicked on the reward icon first. 1 crossing skill carry card. 1 crossing blueprint carry card. 1 crossing material carry card. Hey, the reward is actually a crossing carry card set? Could it be that her luck has improved? However, the sharp-eyed Li Sijing saw the small words below. First place, 1 skill card. 1 blueprint card. 1 material card. Second place, 1 skill card. 1 blueprint card. Third place, 1 skill card. Fourth place, 1 blueprint card. 1 material card. Fifth place, 1 blueprint card. 6th to 10th place, 1 material card. This list of rewards made Li Sijing understand immediately. It was not that her luck had improved, but that the survival game had suddenly become generous. Moreover, this time the reward. It was not based on unboxing, but was directly marked with a price. Fortunately, Li Sijing did not slack off in the middle and won the first place. Otherwise, she would have regretted it to death. Now, she got a set of cards for traveling through time, and she was immediately happy. At this time, the RV had stopped by the side under the driving of the starry sky, and Li Sijing put all these cards into the mustard space. Then she clicked on the Earth icon that she was most looking forward to. What will be the essence and secret of the game? God? Parallel time and space? Or advanced civilization? It is about to return to the Earth. Is this game finally going to show its true face? Li Sijing's eyes revealed curiosity and expectation, looking at the page that was revealed after she clicked on the icon. A letter to the ultimate survivor of the Earth. What the hell? A letter appeared. Looking at the densely packed words on the page, Li Sijing couldn't help but flip through it. She flipped through several pages in a row before finally reaching the bottom. Is it so long? It feels like it can be compared to the college entrance examination essay. At this moment, Li Sijing's curiosity reached its peak. She was too curious about the specific content. So, she finally started to read it carefully from the beginning. Dear compatriots, being able to see this letter means that you have passed all the tests and survived to the end. It also means that you will be able to know this great secret about the survival of mankind. The secret of human survival? Are you so arrogant? So, what is the secret? Li Sijing continued to look down with curiosity. My compatriots, the Earth is about to enter the disaster period. The moment you return to the Earth, there will be a meteor shower with countless meteorites from outer space falling. They will bring endless disasters to the Earth. Seeing this, Li Sijing's doubts were not explained. On the contrary, new questions arose in her mind. The content mentioned above is obviously something that has not happened yet. So, how can this survival game be predicted? And the tone is so sure? At that time, the Earth will be extremely hot, causing a series of natural disasters such as melting glaciers, tornadoes, tsunamis, and seawater backflow. When the ocean occupies 80% of the world as area, prehistoric unknown viruses will appear in the seawater. Afterwards, the world will enter the Little Ice Age. The temperature of -50 degrees makes the whole world covered with ice and snow. A month later, the Little Ice Age ended, but the disaster did not stop. The Earth has mutated. Some prehistoric unknown animals and plants have come back to life on Earth. They are ferocious and bloodthirsty, and humans have become food. At the moment of life and death for humans, the first superpower appeared. So far, humans have finally got a chance to breathe. Seeing this, Li Sijing's brows were furrowed so much that they could pinch a fly to death. Are the series of things described above really what will happen on Earth in the future? Li Sijing couldn't think of any need for the survival game to deceive her. The doubts in my heart were nothing but disbelief. All the disasters described above are much more terrifying than what they experienced in the survival game. From the current survival rate of Li Sijing and others, we can imagine, after experiencing so many disasters, how many people can survive on Earth. At this moment, Li Sijing suddenly felt. My expectation to return to Earth with great anticipation seemed to have become a joke. It was just returning from one purgatory to another. Li Sijing even thought that it would be better to stay in the game. After all, her life now is actually not bad. And what will become after returning to the unknown Earth is not certain. With mixed feelings, Li Sijing continued to read on. Chapter 523, May the Human Race Live Forever. In order to study the causes of the Earth's mutation, we traced the origin and thought of the first meteor shower. After research, we found that there is indeed an unknown energy on these meteorites. And this energy that we cannot understand now is trying to make everything evolve. Animals, plants, humans, and even the Earth are evolving. Unfortunately, The evolution brought by this energy is too overbearing. And we paid the price of almost extinction. With the evolution of animals and plants, the living space of humans is squeezed little by little. Evolution? The source of all disasters is actually because of evolution? Such a reason is really something Li Sijing did not expect. This can't help but remind her of a rumor she had seen on Earth before. Cancer cells in the human body are actually a kind of evolution. It's just that this kind of evolution is unbearable for humans. So people with cancer eventually died. These two statements are similar. However, one is the evolution of individual humans, and the other is the common evolution of all creatures on the entire Earth. I think the supernatural power mentioned above is the result of the final evolution of human beings. Right? Unfortunately, Li Sijing knew from the words. In this great evolution of all races, humans are at a disadvantage. So, what should humans do next? Li Sijing became more and more interested in the following content. In order to preserve the flame of the race, we started the research of the Hope Project. After 3 years, when humans were about to be extinct, our hope was finally successfully developed. It is the so-called survival game today. This is a device we made using all the meteorites we collected. It can travel through the long river of time and return to the moment before the meteorite landed. Seeing this, Li Sijing still has something to not understand. The things described above are obviously everything that humans have experienced. And in order to continue, humans actually thought of traveling through time and space. And finally succeeded. The Hope device is the survival game today. It was born under such circumstances. As for this device, what exactly is the role? Combined with my experience in the survival game for more than a month, Li Sijing has some guesses in his heart. Next, Li Sijing continued to read down to confirm whether his guess was correct. After the Hope device crosses over, it will capture the top 100 million people on Earth with the most comprehensive ability, entering the different space where the flow of time has been changed. That is, the so-called survival game. Here, we have designed many types of natural disasters that will be encountered on Earth. You will pass these levels to improve your ability to survive. Please rest assured that those who died in the survival game were not really dead. After all, as human beings, we will not harm our fellow human beings. It is just that those who were eliminated will not remember all their experiences. As for you who have gone through so many hardships and finally survived, in the near future, you will become the leader of mankind and lead us to survive. Sure enough, it is almost the same as Li Sijing guessed. This survival game is really for training everyone and enhancing human strength. Moreover, those who died in the survival game are not really dead. This also confirms Li Sijing's previous speculation. Of course, what needs more attention now are those who survived and have memories. When they return to Earth, they will be a huge force. I think everything that humans have experienced will change. Right? I don't know how much effort those people who have experienced so many disasters and have been in despair have made to create the current situation. Li Sijing's previous entanglement has long been forgotten. At this moment, she just wants to return to Earth as soon as possible so that she can work hard for a different future for mankind. Li Sijing continued to look down with excitement. What I need to tell you is, all the items in the survival game are both false and real. It just takes energy to make these items real when they are brought back to Earth. The device we made with meteorites from outer space has consumed most of the energy when it passed through the long river of time. Therefore, the items you can materialize are also limited. That's why we created the crossing carrying card. How much supplies you can carry back to Earth depends on your own ability. It should be noted that the energy in the meteorites is very magical. Therefore, the items materialized by using this energy will also have magical effects. For example, if you eat more materialized food, you may awaken your superpowers in advance. The above is the whole story of your magical experience. Finally, we want to say, at this moment of life and death, we hope that everyone can unite and overcome difficulties together to keep the fire of mankind alive. After returning to Earth, we call on all compatriots with memories to get in touch with the motherland and work together for the future of mankind. After all, at any time, the power of an individual cannot be compared with that of a country. Of course, this is a suggestion, not a compulsion, for those who prefer to act alone. We can only wish you good luck and hope that you will live for a long time. If you can lend a helping hand to your compatriots in distress within your ability, it would be even better. Finally, may the Earth live forever, and may the human race live forever. So far, this letter to all mankind has finally ended. And after reading this letter, all the questions in Li Xijing's mind, all the things that he couldn't figure out before, now, they have all been explained and understood. In the survival game, those who were originally thought to be difficult. Now when I think back, I understand the deep meaning. Everything is for their good. Recalling that I had cursed the dog game countless times in the letter before, Li Xijing suddenly felt a sense of regret in her heart. It was too early to curse. Is it too late for her to apologize to the future pioneers now? Chapter 524. Being a Lone Wolf? This sudden letter really contains the secrets and essence of the survival game. After reading it, Li Xijing was really surprised and shocked. All along, Li Xijing thought that so many people travel to the survival game. It was just a fantasy that science could not explain. But she did not expect that this was actually a road to self-salvation for mankind. Now, before returning to Earth and facing reality, Li Xijing finally knew everything. At this moment, in her heart, in addition to the uneasiness of facing the unknown, there is more passion and boiling passion. After all, for all this now, too many people have made too much effort. Now, it is the turn of those who have persisted to the end to continue to work hard. However, after the passion in their hearts gradually receded, Li Xijing, who calmed down, had to face a realistic problem. After returning to Earth, should she contact her motherland? Should she join her motherland as soon as possible and work hard for the future of mankind? Or should she stay in a corner and be a lone wolf who puts herself first? In fact, not contacting the motherland and being a lone wolf is the simplest and clearest way to live. Relying on the supplies brought back to Earth from the survival game and the information learned from the letter, Li Xijing felt that it should be no problem for her to survive safely. The only thing to worry about is probably some gangs that may rise after the disaster. The power of one person is limited after all. When facing dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of people, the force of an individual seems insignificant. There is another point that cannot be denied. After Li Xijing returned to Earth, everything she had was obtained from the survival game. And the creator of this survival game is obviously the motherland. So, after getting so much, is there no return at all? But if Li Xijing really contacted the motherland to join it, to be honest, she was not very willing. Not to mention what she would get or lose. The interest disputes brought about by the large number of people alone gave Li Xijing a headache. Don't say anything. In the face of the survival of the race, everyone will not engage in any division and suppression. No matter when. The more people there are, the more disputes there will be. This is an eternal truth. In addition, Li Xijing has too many good things in her hands. There are too many people who know about it. And she is really afraid that someone will be greedy. After all, although her strength has increased a lot, she is still unable to resist hot weapons. This is not good. And that is not good either. To be honest, Li Xijing is really torn between these two choices. I don't know if there is a way to have the best of both worlds. It would be great if the advantages of the two choices could be combined. Li Xijing thought a little greedily. However, when she thought of this, an idea suddenly popped up in her mind. It is really possible that there is a way to have the best of both worlds. This idea in her mind immediately made Li Xijing interested. She kept thinking and perfecting her idea in her mind. It took more than 10 minutes. Li Xijing finally came up with a rough idea of the idea in her mind. As for the rest, we will talk about it later. After finishing a matter of concern, Li Xijing felt relieved. She looked at the time, and it was already 4 o'clock. At this time, the seventh and final darkness had begun on the road outside the building. However, the lights on Li Xijing's car were not weakened, because the high-beam spotlights on her car lights were on. At this time, it could still illuminate a distance of dozens of meters. The special candles in the car just went out. Today, Li Xijing has been lighting special candles since she woke up. So far, 9 special candles have been burned out. Now, Li Xijing still has 17 special candles in her hands. The eternal night world is about to end, and there are still so many special candles left. If Li Xijing follows her usual behavior, she will definitely light the special candles next. Even if the mood value is no longer important, at least it can be illuminated. Right? However, thinking of what was said in the previous letter, all the supplies brought out from the survival game have magical effects. Li Xijing felt that she should save a little. She just didn't know how many supplies she had. In the end, how much can she bring back to Earth? And when will this time travel card be unlocked? Li Xijing also wanted to figure out what she could bring back. Thinking randomly in her mind, Li Sijing opened the blue screen again. The first thing she saw was naturally her current mood value. 52 to 111. Wow. It dropped so much at once. It seems that the letter just now really gave Li Sijing too much shock. However, she has now entered the terminal building. And the large beast taper cannot enter the building. So, it doesn't matter what the mood value is. As long as you don't do anything stupid. Just get the mood value down to 0. Ignore this number that was once important, but is no longer important. Li Sijing directly clicked on the regional channel. Then, the first thing that came into view was the current real-time number of people. 3069/21642. More than 2,000 people died in a few hours. I don't know how many of these 3,000 people will be left after the disaster day ends. However, Li Sijing now knows it. These dead people are not really dead, but just lost their memories. So now, she looks at the number that is still falling, and her heart is not disturbed. However, Li Sijing recalled it again. In the previous letter, it was said that the number of people captured in the survival game at the beginning seemed to be 100 million. After experiencing 5 worlds, there are only 3,000 people left. This survival rate is really shockingly low. Then, Li Sijing focused his attention on the information in the area. Just now, I learned too much information, and was shocked too much. To be honest, Li Sijing really wanted to share it with others. Unfortunately, now in the area, except for Li Sijing, everyone else, they are still in dire straits. At this time, no one is chatting. As for Li Sijing's desire to share, it was naturally unfulfilled. Chapter 525. The card for carrying across time is unblocked. In the empty terminal building, there is only Li Sijing's RV. At this time, everyone is struggling to survive on the road. Even the regional channel has become extremely quiet. So, Li Sijing, who is bored, can only find something to do. After thinking about it, Li Sijing finally decided to make dinner. For 2 consecutive meals today, she had eaten leeks and dumplings. For this meal tonight, she wants to eat rice. It is a few minutes after 4 o'clock, and it is a bit early to make dinner. But it doesn't matter. Just put it in the mustard space after it is done. After the disaster day is over, Li Sijing still has things to do. When it gets busy, I guess I won't have time to cook. So, Li Sijing came to the kitchen in the dark and started cooking in the dark. Today's dinner is to eat rice. As for the dishes, Li Sijing thinks that she can stew some bone soup to nourish herself. It just so happens that the corn harvested earlier can also be put in. Because it is cooked in the dark, the speed is naturally slower. It was not until 4:30 that Li Sijing's corn bone soup finally began to stew. As for the rice, it had already started to cook. While cooking, Li Sijing also found a problem. There was not much rice in her hand. The remaining rice was probably enough for her to eat 1 or 2 meals. However, even so, Li Sijing was not going to grind the rice. After all, it was about to return to Earth. When she returned to Earth, there were shelling machines. So why would she need to grind it by hand bit by bit? Corn and pork rib soup. Let it stew on the stove. Li Sijing returned to the activity area and sat on a chair. Now, there is only half an hour left before the end of the activity. And in the remaining time, Li Sijing was too lazy to find something to do for herself. Just sit on a chair, rest, eat some snacks, fruits and the like. As time goes by, it is getting closer to 5 o'clock. Li Sijing's surprise is getting stronger and stronger. So, this time on the day of natural disasters, except for Li Sijing, no one else has arrived at the end in advance. However, think about the difficulties you have encountered along the way. Li Sijing can understand it in her heart. After all, if there is no starry sky, she can't arrive so early. Time passed little by little, and finally it was 5 o'clock. Then, the sound of the survival game sounded in the air. Before, when Li Sijing heard these sounds, there was no ripple in his heart. Now that he knows the real situation, he listens again. I feel that there is an inexplicable sense of intimacy. Dear players, the dark reward has ended. Players who have not reached the end, please return to the car as soon as possible. You will be teleported to the end in 5 minutes. Congratulations to all players for successfully surviving the Eternal Night disaster. Next, you will have 7 hours of leisure time. At 12 o'clock in the evening, you will be teleported back to Earth. Please prepare in advance. Note, the crossing carrying card has been unblocked. It really is a cross back to Earth. However, at this time, The crossing carrying card has been unblocked? Li Sijing immediately ignored everything else and started to get busy. Li Sijing took out all her crossing carrying cards directly from the mustard seed space. They were 14 crossing skill carrying cards, 14 crossing blueprint carrying cards, and 13 crossing material carrying cards. Then, there were 2 special crossing carrying cards obtained by signing in. They were crossing vehicle carrying cards and crossing special item carrying cards. A total of 43 crossing carrying cards of various types were neatly placed on the folding table. Li Sijing picked up one and checked it carefully. Sure enough, the introduction was still the same introduction. It was just that the ban reminder in the back of the note disappeared directly. Moreover, a use button appeared behind the card. Obviously, these cards can now be used directly. While Li Sijing was thinking about these cards, 5 minutes had passed unknowingly. So, in the dark environment, white fog continued to appear. One RV after another flashed in the terminal building. Li Sijing also found time to check the regional channel. The real-time population shows that there are only 2,854 people alive now. And with so many RVs, I don't know if the key buildings can fit them? After learning that the time travel card was unblocked, Li Sijing was originally eager to try to use it. However, since the living people, now they have arrived at the terminal building, Li Sijing finally decided to postpone it for a while. After all, everyone gathered together. There must be a lot of things. Besides, Li Sijing himself also has things to do. However, the following development surprised her. After all the vehicles were teleported over, Li Sijing quietly waited for the chaotic and noisy sounds that were about to come. After all, among these people gathered, it was inevitable that some people would get off the car to chat and reminisce. Moreover, Li Sijing was also waiting for Zhou Qinghuan and others to find them. But all this did not happen. The building with nearly 3,000 RVs parked was extremely quiet. Even Li Sijing did not hear the sound of the door opening and closing. In other words, no one opened the door to get off the car, let alone reminisce. What happened? With doubts, Li Sijing clicked on the blue screen. She was originally going to check the regional channel to find out the reason. However, when she saw the world channel, she suddenly reacted. Li Sijing received a letter to the survivors when she reached the end. And these people should have received the letter when they reached the end. Right? Li Sijing arrived at the end in advance and got the news in advance. At this moment, I almost didn't react for a moment. The terminal building is so quiet. It should be because everyone is carefully watching this letter with a huge secret. Right? Li Sijing has already experienced the shock brought by this letter. Even the time to read the letter, plus the time to be shocked or thinking. Half an hour is not enough in between. So, even if Li Sijing gets off the car and finds Zhou Qinghuan now, it is estimated that it will take half an hour to get a response. In this case, Li Sijing thinks, I can take advantage of this half an hour or so to try out the specific use of the time travel carrying card. As for what Li Sijing wants to say to them, they can wait until they finish reading the letter and think clearly in their hearts before talking. At that time, there is no need to waste time explaining, and it is more convenient to say. Thinking of this, Li Sijing immediately retracted his gaze to the window. Focus all his attention on the time travel carrying cards arranged in order on the table. By the way, I don't know if there are any restrictions when using these cards. Chapter 526 Choose a skill. The crossing carrying card is too important for people who are about to return to Earth. So Li Sijing had to be cautious when using it for the first time. Among them, the 2 unique cards are too important. Li Sijing would definitely not choose them to try. After thinking again and again, she finally took out a crossing skill carrying card from the pile of cards. Then, use this card for the first try. Li Sijing looked serious and clicked the use button. Then, a new page appeared in front of her. On the page, a series of various skills were clearly displayed. And these skills were what Li Sijing had mastered now. In other words, she only had to choose one skill that she wanted to bring back to Earth. This card was considered to be used successfully. However, Li Sijing was a little surprised that she did not receive the prompt sound. So, this time, there is no time limit in the choice? This makes her previous serious thinking seem redundant. That's right. The cards with time limits seem to be obtained from the sign-in system. But the survival game is made by compatriots. She can't wrongly accuse the good guys. Li Sijing smiled awkwardly, with an awkward expression on her face. Afterwards, she calmed down and looked at the page in front of her. Looking at the series of skills listed above, Li Sijing herself couldn't help but be a little surprised. Are there so many? There must be more than 10 or 20 skills in this row. Perfect firearms. Perfect knife skills. Perfect fighting. Perfect racing driver. Proficient in swimming. Proficient in cooking. Basic string music. Proficient in car repair. Perfect climbing. Perfect vision. Perfect smell. Perfect hearing. Perfect touch. Perfect taste. Perfect sixth sense. Combat awareness. Underwater breathing. Self-healing. Immunity to all poisons. Emotion controller. Night vision. You can tell from the names of these skills. As long as they are basic, proficient, and perfect, they are all obtained from the survival game. And those skills without levels are obtained from the sign-in system. A careful count. These two types add up to a total of 21 skills. So it seems that in the 35 days in the survival world, Li Sijing has got a lot of good things. But the key point is that there are so many good things. Li Sijing has no choice but to take them all out. She only has 14 cross-skill carrying cards in her hand. Li Sijing was quite complacent before, thinking that it was a lot. Now it seems that she may have to give up 7 of the skills. After all, it's now time. Everyone who knows the whole situation will no longer take out the cross-skill carrying card for trading. At the moment, Li Sijing decided to select the necessary skills first. For example, the perfect level 6 sense. This skill can almost be regarded as a magical skill. The occasional passive trigger alone is already very powerful. What's more, at the perfect level, there is one chance to actively trigger the skill every day. In short, Li Sijing must bring this skill back to Earth. However, when she clicked on the 6th sense skill, she received a game prompt. Dear friend, mastering the 5 senses is a prerequisite for obtaining the 6th sense. Please select the 5 senses first. Well, it turns out that you still have to select the 5 senses first. Originally, Li Sijing's choice this time was a small test. If you don't need to master the 5 senses, you can get the 6th sense. Li Sijing was ready to give up the taste of the 5 senses. Unfortunately, there is no loophole to exploit. So, Li Sijing could only honestly take out 6 cross-skill carrying cards to use. In this way, the 5 senses of sight, hearing, smell, touch and taste, plus the 6th sense, are all in hand. Fortunately, the other 4 of the 5 senses have their own uses. It's not a loss to use the cross-skill carrying card to bring it back to Earth. Otherwise, Li Sijing might not be willing to use 6 cross-skill carrying cards at once. In this way, Li Sijing still has 8 cross-skill carrying cards left in his hand. And he continues to choose. Perfect firearm skills must be selected. After all, Li Sijing not only has a pistol and a submachine gun, but also bullets. Perfect swordsmanship and perfect fighting can be chosen. In this way, when firearms cannot be used, you will not be at the mercy of others. The situation with the skill of Perfect Racer is a bit complicated. Li Sijing's current RV is 8 meters long, 2.4 meters wide and 4 meters high. The RV is double-decker, and after the second floor is raised, the height reaches more than 5 meters. Such an RV is not something that every driver can drive on the road. At the very least, if Li Sijing loses the skill of Perfect Racer, he will not be able to do it. But it is not quite accurate to say that it is a must-choose. After all, don't forget that Li Sijing still has Starry Sky. If Starry Sky can be brought back together, then this skill will become useless. So, should I choose this skill or not? It still depends on the Starry Sky. Whether it can be brought back to Earth? To be determined. Next, swimming proficiency, cooking proficiency, and basic string music. There is no need to choose these 3 skills. Just give them up. Li Sijing really wants the proficient car maintenance skill. After all, the car maintenance card will run out one day. However, Li Sijing has other considerations in mind. She has to wait until she has settled the matter in her mind before making a decision. Also to be determined for the time being. Then, there is the perfect climbing skill. I think this skill will be very useful after returning to Earth. If there are extra crossing skill carrying cards in the end, you can choose it. Also to be determined. Next, it is the skill that Li Sijing got from the sign-in system. Combat awareness, which was obtained when she just crossed over. This skill is of great help to Li Sijing in the early stage. However, as Li Sijing continues to grow, after that, this skill was not very noticeable. At least, Li Sijing can say it with certainty. Now she has developed her own combat consciousness. So, This skill does not need to be chosen. But the skill of underwater breathing must not be missed. After all, the letter clearly stated that 80% of the Earth was ocean. With the underwater breathing skill, the survival rate is higher. Next, it is the self-healing skill. In fact, this skill has not been very useful since it was obtained. On the one hand, with the protection of the basalt scales, Li Sijing rarely gets injured. On the other hand, this self-healing skill can only restore 5% of the injury per hour. For Li Sijing, it is not as effective as applying wound medicine. But is the effect of this skill really just useless? Not really. You know, this self-healing skill is useful for any injury. In other words, as long as it is not a fatal injury, no matter how serious the remaining injuries are, they will be healed after 20 hours. This is a magical skill for returning to the dangerous Earth. In short, Li Sijing must get this skill. Next, it is the skill of immunity to all poisons. This is also another magical skill. Thinking of the unknown virus mentioned in the letter, there are also toxins evolved by various animals and plants after the Earth mutated. Li Sijing felt that this skill was also indispensable. Then, it is the emotion controller. This skill is almost a magical skill in the world of eternal night, facing the large beast taper. Moreover, sometimes excessive emotionality is not conducive to some major decisions. The most important point is, Li Sijing didn't think that the taper in the eternal night world was fictional. She even suspected that such strange creatures would appear on Earth in the future. So, Li Sijing was very entangled in whether to keep this skill. In the end, she chose to wait for the second round of selection. Finally, it was the night vision skill. This skill can be regarded as the second greatest skill in the eternal night world. However, Li Sijing did not forget the power of technology. On Earth, those low-light night vision goggles and infrared night vision goggles should be available. So, this skill is not needed. Chapter 527 Li Sijing's Plan. Li Sijing analyzed all the skills on the list one by one. Finally, she had a rough plan in mind. First of all, 5 of the skills have been determined to be exchanged. Perfect firearms, underwater breathing, self-healing, immunity to all poisons, and perfect swordsmanship. Yes, between swordsmanship and fighting, Li Sijing finally chose perfect swordsmanship. So she took out 5 cross-skill carrying cards and clicked to use them. In this way, Li Sijing only had the last 3 cross-skill carrying cards in her hand. And she still had 4 skills to be determined. They were perfect racer, proficient in car maintenance, perfect climbing, and a motion controller. So, which one should be abandoned? The person with choice difficulty was a little at a loss. At this moment, a noisy sound came from outside the car. It made Li Sijing come back to her senses from this tangled emotion. Looking up and looking outside the car, you can find it. The originally silent terminal building seemed to have suddenly woken up. People kept exclaiming, yelling, screaming with joy, and even crying. People kept getting out of the car, running and jumping wildly, hugging everyone they met. Obviously, after reading the letter and knowing the news, everyone couldn't help but go crazy. After all, after more than a month, they can finally return to Earth in a few hours. Even if they return to Earth, there are still many difficulties and dangers waiting for them. But after all, it is a completely different feeling from being in a survival game. In short, at this moment, no one can restrain the joy that bursts out in their hearts. Even Li Sijing, who had been excited and now calmed down. After seeing this scene, she still couldn't help but curl her lips. This kind of unstoppable excitement lasted for several minutes, until Wu Aigua appeared with a loudspeaker and shouted. This finally stopped everyone's chaos. After all, although everyone has worked hard to survive until now, but many of them are already at the end of their strength and are very weak. Now such excitement and joy may be fatal if you are not careful. It's hard to overcome one difficulty after another and persist until now. If you lose your life because of happiness, it would be really funny. Now that everyone has finished reading the letter, then Li Sijing's plan in her heart can also be implemented. But before that, she must first find a few friends she is going to talk to. Zhou Qinghuan, Wu Aigua, Lu Yizhou. Wu Aigua is easy to find. He is busy with a loudspeaker. But Zhou Qinghuan and Lu Yizhou are not so easy to find. After all, there were no proper lights in the entire building, although everyone turned on the exterior lights of their cars on their own initiative. But it was obviously not an easy task to find the 2 cars in the chaotic light. However, Li Sijing thought of a good way. She sent a message directly to Zhou Qinghuan and Lu Yizhou. She said that she had something to talk about, and asked them to get closer to Wu Aigua. It was not easy for them to find each other, but it was very easy to find the conspicuous Wu Aigua. Then, Li Xijing got out of the car, and got closer to Wu Aigua. 5 minutes later, the three finally gathered around Wu Aigua. It was obviously inconvenient to talk in the open air. In the end, Wu Aigua, who was closest, contributed his RV. So, the four of them came to Wu Aigua's RV together. This was Li Xijing's second time to enter someone else's RV. The first time was when she went to collect the reward after killing the student girl. Wu Aigua's RV was an upgraded large RV. Compared with the student girl's RV, it was bigger. But in terms of layout, there was not much difference. Even the dirtiness was exactly the same. After all, in the absence of resources, everyone should first ensure themselves. Fortunately, the smell was not too big or too bad. There was only one seat in the activity area of Li Xijing's RV. That was because she had a car modification card, and made a reasonable modification to the layout of the RV. In fact, on a normal RV, the booth in the activity area has 4 seats. Now, the 4 of them have just 1 seat each. The door of the RV was closed, blocking the noise outside. After sitting down, the other 3 people all looked at Li Xijing. After all, this gathering was organized by Li Xijing. They were also curious about what Li Xijing wanted to talk about. The 4 people didn't spend much time together, but they had known each other for nearly a month. They were familiar with each other. Li Xijing knew very well that the 3 of them were straightforward, so she didn't plan to beat around the bush. She asked directly, after returning to Earth, "Are you going to contact the motherland?" As soon as this question came out, Wu Aigua and Lu Yizhou on the opposite side suddenly fell silent. Zhou Qinghuan answered without hesitation, "No, it's too troublesome." Li Xijing nodded to Zhou Qinghuan, and then looked at the 2 people on the opposite side. "What about you?" Wu Aigua and Lu Yizhou looked at each other. Obviously, they had a rough guess about the reason why Li Xijing asked this. In the end, both of them said their plans. "No, but we can cooperate." This was Lu Yizhou's answer. But Wu Aigua said, "We should contact the motherland." Chapter 528. Let's team up. After returning to Earth, will we be a lone wolf or contact the motherland? Regarding this question, the other 3 have already expressed their choices. The attitudes of the 3 people are different. Zhou Qinghuan is too troublesome, and is ready to be a lone wolf. Lu Yizhou also wants to be a lone wolf, but he can also cooperate with the motherland. And Wu Aigua, who has a military style, chose to contact the motherland, which is expected. After the 3 people expressed their opinions, they once again focused their attention on Li Xijing. Li Xijing took a deep breath and expressed her plan. "Let's team up. How about it?" As soon as these words came out, the 3 people on the scene suddenly had different expressions. Wu Aigua's expression was solemn and tangled, and it was obvious that he was struggling in his heart. Lu Yizhou's face was an expression of serious thinking. As for Zhou Qinghuan, she was stunned at first, and then nodded quickly. Okay, Sister Jing. Let's team up. Sister Jing will protect me." As expected, Zhou Qinghuan is simple-minded, and is the easiest to conquer. Li Xijing smiled and grabbed her hand as a response. Then he turned his eyes to Lu Yizhou on the opposite side. Lu Yizhou thought for a moment, and weighed the pros and cons in his mind. Finally, he looked up, looked at Li Xijing, and gave an answer. "Okay, let's form a team." Lu Yizhou also got it done. Next, everyone's eyes were focused on the biggest problem, Wu Aigua. At this time, Wu Aigua's eyes also looked at Li Xijing. "You should be able to guess that I'm a soldier, right? Why do you want to pull me in?" Li Xijing expressed his opinion with a very serious expression. "Our motherland is great. Otherwise there would be no survival games. This is undeniable. But you can't deny that where there are people, there will be struggles. The tug-of-war between the top leaders may be for the sake of humanity. But can selfishness really be avoided? And in a team mode like ours, with fewer people, we can have the right to speak. And we are all friends with compatible personalities. Wouldn't it be more comfortable to stay?" After listening to Li Xijing's words, Wu Aigua nodded without comment. "You are right. But I still want to serve the motherland." Li Xijing had expected this, and had thought of the words. Of course, there is no problem in serving the motherland. We all want to serve the motherland. But serving the motherland does not necessarily mean joining it. In fact, we can choose another way, such as cooperation. Speaking of this, Li Xijing couldn't help but pause and looked at Wu Aigua. Wu Aigua nodded calmly, indicating that she should continue. The common goal of all of us is for the future of mankind. So, after we form a team, we can contact the motherland as a partner. And your identity as a soldier is the best stepping stone for cooperation. By then, you can serve the motherland and master autonomy. Isn't this a better choice? After saying that, Li Xijing continued to look at Wu Aigua. In fact, she had prepared a lot of arguments. And at this moment, she just paused to sort out her thoughts. But what Li Xijing didn't expect was, at this moment, Wu Aigua suddenly said, "Okay, I agree to form a team." Li Xijing was about to say a lot of things, but was immediately blocked. Wu Aigua agreed now. Isn't it a little too sudden? Facing Li Xijing's stunned expression, Wu Aigua smiled. The scene suddenly fell into a brief silence. Lu Yizhou, who was standing aside, looked at Wu Aigua beside him and spoke suddenly. When you asked, you had already made a decision in your heart, right? Although it was an inquiry tone, Lu Yizhou said it very affirmatively. After hearing this, Li Xijing was stunned at first. Then she saw the smile on Wu Aigua's mouth. And suddenly there was something she didn't understand in her heart. In fact, as early as when Zhou Qinghuan and Lu Yizhou agreed, in his heart, Wu Aigua also agreed to her proposal. But he didn't show it, but took the opportunity to ask Li Xijing. At this moment, Li Xijing was actually a little unhappy in her heart. But then, she reacted. Wu Aigua's behavior is not to ask questions, but to test her attitude towards the motherland. Wu Aigua is a soldier after all. Even if he has decided to form a team with others, he still hopes the people in this team are consistent in their attitude towards the motherland. And Li Xijing's speech just now showed that her attitude was obviously past. In this way, the four people in front of them finally formed a team successfully. After the general direction is determined, the next step is to discuss some details. For example, how to contact and gather after returning to Earth. After collecting supplies, how to act. Which aspect should each focus on? For example, how many of their families need to be together? In short, there are too many things to discuss. Among them, there is one thing that needs to be noted. Wu Aigua, Lu Yizhou, and Li Xijing are all ranked in the top 10 on the overall list. In other words, all three of them can bring the vehicles in the survival game back to Earth. Although Zhou Qinghuan has always been the second on the comfort list. But the combat power list and the popularity list are a bit lame. This also led to her ranking dropping directly to dozens after the three lists were merged. In other words, Zhou Qinghuan cannot bring the vehicle back to Earth. Fortunately, according to Zhou Qinghuan, her family conditions are not bad. You can directly find a high-end RV on Earth. In fact, in this four-person team, Li Xijing, Wu Aigua, and Lu Yizhou each have their own advantages and are evenly matched. Zhou Qinghuan is a bit lame in terms of strength. However, her invincible European Emperor attribute is what Li Xijing needs after returning to Earth. Even if there will be no more resource boxes. But luck is also a very important part in daily life adventures. So, Li Xijing included Zhou Qinghuan in the team. The four discussed some details after the team was formed for nearly an hour. Of course, the main discussion and opinions were from Li Xijing, Wu Aigua, and Lu Yizhou. As for Zhou Qinghuan, she would only nod and agree without thinking after Li Xijing made an opinion. And this discussion not only improved all aspects of the team, it also allowed the four people to have a deeper understanding of each other's views and opinions. In short, at the end of the discussion, the four were very satisfied. The issues that could be raised for discussion also had a rough result. When the time came to 6:30, the four finally ended the party. Chapter 529, Absurd Measurement Method. The last day of the survival game. I don't know if it will be dangerous to open the car door after 7 o'clock. Of course, it's the last step to return to Earth. I think no one will try it. So, before 7 o'clock, everyone got off the car and gathered. Deal with the things you want to discuss and contact quickly. After 7 o'clock, you can stay in your own RV with peace of mind. So, Li Xijing got off Wu Aigua's car and walked to her own car. On the way, she met a lot of people. Li Xijing even saw dozens of people gathered together and loudly discussed team formation. When she passed by, the other party asked her if she wanted to join. Obviously, except for those who decided to contact the motherland. The rest of the people all had the idea of forming a team. However, for this kind of loose organization of dozens of people gathered together, Li Sijing was not interested. So she shook her hand and refused. After returning to her RV and closing the door, Li Sijing also opened the RV's blackout curtain. The plan in her mind has been perfectly implemented. Next, Li Sijing is not going to get off the car again. Just wait for the crossing. Sit down in the dark in the activity area. Li Sijing is ready to deal with the crossing carrying card that has not been completed before. First of all, the 4 skills that were previously pending. Now, Li Sijing has successfully formed a team, and she has specially asked her teammates. Among them, Lu Yizhou and Wu Aigua can both repair cars. Lu Yizhou's car repair skills are average, and can only deal with some minor problems. But Wu Aigua is different. According to him, when he was in the army, he had repaired all kinds of cars. So, as long as there are corresponding parts, he can repair the car. In this case, then this master-level car repair skill can be abandoned. As long as he reunites with Wu Aigua, he will have a human-shaped car repair card. These pending skills were originally 3 out of 4. Now, 1 has been eliminated, and it has become 3 out of 3. Is it still necessary to choose? So, Li Si directly clicked to use the remaining 3 crossing skill carrying cards. In this way, Perfect Climbing, Perfect Racer, and a Motion Controller were all obtained. In this way, Li Sijing's 14 crossing skill carrying cards in her hand were all selected. Next, she picked up the crossing RV carrying card and clicked to use it. This time, no page appeared in front of Li Sijing, but she could feel that the card was used successfully. Moreover, this card not only includes the RV, it also includes all the accessories in the entire RV. This is great news for Li Sijing. She had been worried before that if the car accessories had to be brought back with the crossing blueprint carrying card, then Li Sijing would really have to give up a lot of things. Fortunately, these accessories are all included in the RV. When Li Sijing uses the crossing blueprint carrying card, she only needs to think about the ordinary blueprint. And it's not just the accessories on the car. Even the starry sky is directly included. This is the biggest surprise for Li Sijing. You know, even if she has already mastered the perfect racer skill. But the demand for Shinkong is still unabated. After all, driving by yourself is so tiring. It is even more troublesome to fight while driving. In the 4-person team, the other 3 have families, and they can change when driving. Li Sijing is alone, without even a replacement. Now, with Shinkong, all her worries will not be a problem. This RV blueprint has given Li Sijing too many surprises. I don't know what surprises will come from the special item carrying card. This card is the one that Li Sijing is most curious about. Click to use it directly. Then, Li Sijing felt that it was used successfully again. And the object of this card is? Mustard space. It is really mustard space. It is really mustard space. Although Li Sijing had guessed it before, this special item is very likely to be mustard space. But when it was confirmed, Li Sijing was still filled with joy. You know, this is a mustard seed space. And not only can the mustard seed space be taken back, even everything in the mustard seed space can be taken back together. The mustard seed space is 5 cubic meters. How much supplies can it hold? This can save Li Sijing a lot of time travel material carrying cards. In short, this wave can be said to be a big profit. All the things obtained from the sign-in system are good things. After using the 2 special cards, Li Sijing then turned her attention to the other 2 piles of cards. Let's check the cross-drawing carrying card first. After picking up one and clicking to use it, a series of ordinary drawing names suddenly appeared in front of her. Li Sijing also has 14 drawings for cross-drawing carrying cards, and she doesn't have much demand for these drawings in front of her. After all, drawings can make things. On Earth, people can also make them. Even if the Earth is in a disaster, these things are no longer everywhere. But as long as there are supplies in hand, they can be exchanged. Therefore, in the selection of drawings, Li Sijing is more calm. She first selected 3 drawings: pistol bullet drawings, ordinary pistol drawings, submachine gun bullet drawings. These 3 drawings are linked to weapons and must be selected. As for the remaining 11 places, it is a bit entangled. It's not that I want to choose too many. There are not enough places. On the contrary, there are not many drawings worthy of her choice, and they don't fill up the quota. In the end, Li Sijing decided to put the drawings aside for the time being. Let's take a look at the situation of the cross-situation material carrying card first. So, Li Xijing picked up the cross-situation material carrying card again and clicked to use it. Afterwards, a dense list appeared directly in front of her. It was really dense. Not exaggerated at all. It was filled with the names of all the materials that Li Xijing had. Food, use, and clothing are all included. After reading this list, Li Xijing discovered for the first time, after more than a month in the survival game, I really saved a lot of things. The most important thing is this cross-situation material carrying card. The materials that each card can carry are not based on weight or volume, but on individual items. For example, a piece of clothing is 1, a refrigerator is 1, and a grain of rice is also 1. This is outrageous. Chapter 530, Unequal Exchange of Planting Pots. The outrageous measurement method of the crossing material carrying card. It really opened Li Xijing's eyes. Any items that are scattered and not connected together will be counted as 2 items. In this way, it is not cost-effective to carry those small items without packaging bags. And snacks like flour, rice, and small packages are no longer the best choice. Li Xijing even saw various basic materials in this list. Each unit of basic materials is counted as 1. At this moment, Li Xijing was really very grateful. Fortunately, the things she put in the mustard space can also be taken back together. Otherwise, if she really relies on more than a dozen crossing material carrying cards, then she really wants to vomit blood. In this case, this crossing material carrying card is not in a hurry to use. After she finishes her meal, she will sort out the mustard space and fill it up. In this case, I can go to the trading area to look for it later. Maybe I can use the crossing blueprint carrying card and crossing material carrying card to pick up some bargains. However, the time has come to 7 o'clock. The corn planted in the planting pot has matured. After harvesting 10 kilograms of corn, Li Xijing planted potatoes again. As for the next step, let's eat first. Li Xijing's stomach has been growling with hunger for a long time. Take out the corn bone soup and rice that have been prepared long ago from the mustard space. While eating, Li Xijing opened the regional channel. The regional channel at this moment is extremely lively. There are only less than 3,000 people, but it seems like there are more than 10,000 people chatting. After suddenly knowing such a big secret, everyone wants to talk too much. They all tell their own analysis, views and guesses in it. In addition, there are many people. They form gangs in the region and form gangs one by one. There are also many people who imagine a brilliant future after returning to Earth. Li Xijing is very happy to see all kinds of rhetoric. In addition to the regional channel, the trading area is also very lively at this moment. After all, everyone has limited time travel carrying cards. Many materials cannot be brought back to Earth, since it must be given up. Wouldn't it be better to take it out and exchange it for something? Therefore, it has created the current situation where trading information is constantly refreshed like chat information. And it is not easy to find materials that you are interested in and useful in so many trading information. Li Xijing searched in the trading area for a few minutes. There was no useful material to be found. But there were a lot of strange things. For example, worn clothes, used quilts, electric fans removed from cars. Even after finishing dinner, Li Xijing still did not find any useful items to trade. So, she could only go to the kitchen and wash the dishes. Back in the activity area, Li Xijing maintained good patience and continued to search. After more than 10 minutes, Li Xijing finally found an item that caught her eye among the garbage. Planting pot. Someone is actually selling a planting pot. Although it is just a low-level planting pot, it also surprised Li Xijing. However, after a closer look at the other party's asking price, it is really high. No wonder it has not been bought yet. It is just a low-level planting pot with 10 times the speed. The other party actually asked for a set of cross-carrying cards. That is, cross-carrying skill carrying cards, cross-carrying blueprint carrying cards, and cross-carrying material carrying cards. This is obviously a lion's mouth. Although she really wants this planting pot, Li Xijing will not accept such an outrageous price. The most important thing is that she can't get a set of cross-carrying cards. However, since the other party has posted it, it is obvious that he wants to change it. Li Xijing is going to add a friend to see if the price can be reduced. The friend request she sent was approved at once, and the other party immediately called her name. Now, Li Xijing suddenly had a bad feeling in her heart. She was recognized. The difficulty of this transaction has increased a lot. In the end, even if she succeeded in the end, she would probably have to bleed a lot. After a conversation, when Li Sijing said that she couldn't take out the cross-travel skill carrying card, the other party said that it was okay. But the number of the other two cards had to be increased. At this point, Li Sijing was relieved. The two cross-travel carrying cards, blueprints and supplies, were not very important to her. After that, it was a matter of quantity. After more than 10 minutes of back and forth, the number of the two cards was finally determined. 3 cross-travel blueprint carrying cards. 3 cross-travel supplies carrying cards. A total of 6 cards were used to exchange for a low-level planting pot. This deal is not worth it. But the other party probably saw that Li Sijing wanted this planting pot very much. After the price was set, he refused to give in. In the end, Li Sijing had no choice but to accept the price. Fortunately, this low-level planting pot was finally obtained. Afterwards, Li Sijing continued to search in the trading area. Unfortunately, until 8 o'clock, no other useful items were found. Li Sijing finally decided not to waste time and turned off the blue screen. Next, her eyes were on the planting pot she had just exchanged, although the transaction just now was not equal. But to be honest, Li Sijing was actually very happy to be able to exchange for the planting pot. After all, for other people, a low-level planting pot is just a low-level planting pot. But for Li Sijing, a low-level planting pot is not just low-level. Don't forget, she has the nutrient soil that can upgrade the planting pot. There is no plant in this planting pot. So, after taking out the nutrient soil, Li Sijing used it directly. Sprinkle 50g of nutrient soil into the planting pot. Instantly, this low-level planting pot becomes a medium-level planting pot. Afterwards, 500g of nutrient soil is needed. This can turn this planting pot into a high-level planting pot that accelerates time 1000 times. Unfortunately, Li Sijing now only has 322.3g of nutrient soil in his hand. There is still nearly 180g of nutrient soil to reach 500g. So, do we have to wait until we return to Earth before we can continue to upgrade? But, can I continue to upgrade after traveling back to Earth? Li Sijing clearly remembered what was said in the letter. All the items that are materialized from the game to Earth will undergo magical changes. Who knows? Will there be any changes to this planting pot, nutrient soil, and decomposing toilet? So, why not complete this upgrade before returning to Earth? Since there is not enough nutrient soil now, then find a way to get it. The nutrient soil that can be decomposed from daily household garbage is still too little. And Li Sijing was reluctant to decompose the food in her hand. But she could buy unnecessary materials from others and decompose them. I think everyone in the area has a lot of useless materials on hand. This can be seen from the rampant transactions in the trading area. Chapter 531 I am doing good things. Buy useless materials from other people and decompose them into nutrient soil. As soon as this idea came up, Li Sijing immediately felt that it was feasible. So, she directly opened the trading area and started to operate. As for what to trade, Li Sijing had already thought about it. The most popular materials in the trading area now are naturally the time travel carrying cards. As for the food that was originally the most scarce, it is hard to see any trace. Is everyone not hungry? Not really. It's just that there are only 4 hours left before returning to Earth. Even if they are hungry, they will only bear it for these few hours. But if at this moment, there is a trade in the trading area, do you think everyone will trade for food with waste materials? Anyway, it's materials that can't be taken away. So take them to exchange for some food. Make yourself more comfortable in the next few hours. Why not? As for the exchange ratio, let's say 1 to 10. In other words, 1 kilogram of food is exchanged for 10 kilograms of materials. Li Sijing directly calculated these materials by weight. As for the types, it doesn't matter. The only food that Li Sijing could sell was some of the harvest in the afternoon. 90 kilograms of oranges, 10 kilograms of potatoes, and 10 kilograms of corn. After thinking about it, Li Sijing directly put all the oranges up. As for the corn and potatoes, just keep them for now. If there is enough nutrient soil in the end, there is no need to continue to change. After this transaction information was sent out, it did not attract everyone's attention. After all, the trading area at this moment is filled with too many useless transactions. So, in order to let everyone pay attention to this transaction, Li Sijing decided to write a promotional slogan and send it to the area. As for this speech, you have to think about it carefully. Different words can produce different effects. After thinking for a while, Li Sijing suddenly had an idea in her mind. She said at the beginning of the speech, her time travel carrying card is limited, and there are still some food in her hand. She can't bring it back to the earth, and it's a waste to keep it. Then she said that she was willing to take out these foods and share them with everyone. But she had too little food, and there were too many people in the area, so it was a bit uneven. Finally, she said that she had come up with a solution. That is, everyone took out the supplies that they couldn't take away and exchanged them with her at a ratio of 10 to 1. Doing so can be regarded as a disguised way of exchanging labor for food. After all, collecting supplies is also considered labor. Of course, she didn't lack anything, so the types of supplies were unlimited. In short, after a lot of rambling, the core point that Li Sijing wanted to express was, she was doing good things, not taking advantage. This message was sent 3 times in the regional channel. In the originally lively area, eyes immediately gathered, except for a few discordant voices, saying that she was trying to gain fame. Most of the others were thanking and praising her. Many people also said that they would take action immediately. In short, everything was within Li Sijing's expectations. It takes time for these people to collect supplies. At this moment, Li Sijing could just wash up. As for daily exercise? Or, let's skip it tonight. To be honest, Li Sijing is not in the mood to exercise at the moment. There are still many things waiting for her to do in the remaining 4 hours. So, Li Sijing turned off the blue screen, got up, and went to the bathroom. When she came out of the bathroom and sat down in the activity area again, it was already 8:30. At this moment, she opened the trading area again. A lot of completed transaction information suddenly appeared inside. And in front of Li Sijing, a lot of messy supplies appeared directly. The messy supplies filled up Li Sijing's front. If she hadn't expanded the activity area a lot when she upgraded the car. At this moment, it is estimated that the entire activity area would not be able to accommodate it. As for why so many supplies suddenly appeared, that's because, in the half hour that Li Sijing was washing up, the 90 kilograms of oranges she hung in the trading area have been traded out. I have to say that everyone in the area is really fast. At that moment, Li Sijing saw a lot of messages below the trading area. They said that everything had been packed up, but they didn't get anything. 90 kilograms of oranges. A total of 900 kilograms of supplies in exchange. There were pots, pans, clothes, shoes, quilts, and everything else. Next, Li Sijing was busy. She took the supplies piled in the activity area to the bathroom little by little, and then stuffed them into the toilet. To be honest, this process was really long and tedious. Halfway through, Li Sijing even had the idea of giving up. However, thinking of the 1,000-fold time acceleration, she finally persisted. Until 9:30, a full hour. The supplies that originally filled the entire activity area. Now, there is only this small hill as high as the folding table in front of her. It seems that she can get rid of these supplies in less than 10 minutes. However, Li Sijing did not continue at this moment. She turned around and came to the planting pot. Don't get me wrong. She is not going to upgrade the planting pot. After all, the nutrient soil has not been collected yet. The potatoes planted in Li Sijing's other 2 planting pots can now be harvested. After harvesting 10 kilograms of potatoes, she planted potatoes in these 2 planting pots again. The remaining 2.5 hours are just enough for this crop of potatoes to mature at 12 o'clock. After the planting pot matter was dealt with, Li Sijing came back and started to move bricks. After another 10 minutes, she finally stuffed all the supplies into the toilet and decomposed them. Then, Li Sijing opened the small drawer under the toilet with great expectation. It was indeed full of nutrient soil. After staring for 3 seconds, the specific weight appeared. 900 kilograms of materials decomposed into a total of 178.5 g of nutrient soil. On average, it takes about 5 kilograms of materials to decompose 1 g of nutrient soil. In this way, Li Sijing finally gathered all the nutrient soil needed to upgrade the planting pot, including the previous ones. She had a total of 500.7 g of nutrient soil in her hand. Chapter 532 Packing Up Supplies. Before 10 o'clock, Li Sijing finally upgraded the newly obtained planting pot to a high-level planting pot. There are only 2 hours left before traveling back to Earth. And then, Li Sijing will start packing up. After all, there are only accessories connected to the RV. Everything else cannot be transported back to Earth with the RV. Li Sijing must take the supplies she wants to take away. After packing up everything, put them in the mustard space. Rarely, Li Sijing took out a special candle and lit it. After all, it would be more convenient to pack up with light. Then, Li Sijing waved his hand. Directly pour out all the items in the entire mustard space and put them in the activity area. Suddenly, the activity area that had just been emptied was once again filled up. Next, Li Sijing began to pack up little by little. First, let's start with edible food. After all, Li Sijing has always remembered what was said in the letter. Eating more food brought from the survival game is conducive to awakening superpowers. Although Li Sijing has awakened superpowers, but eating more of these foods should also help improve superpowers. Right? Li Sijing had previously taken out more than 100 kilograms of meat to exchange for ordinary food. The remaining more than 50 kilograms of meat had been taken off the shelves as early as the beginning of the disaster day. Now, Li Sijing still has 175 kilograms of meat in his hands, including 70 kilograms of beef, 50 kilograms of braised pork, 10 kilograms of bones, 5 kilograms of mutton, 30 kilograms of black fish, and 10 kilograms of fish fillets. In addition, there are some cooked food, 154 beef buns, 74 beef dumplings, 20 jin of fish cake. As for the number of fish balls, Li Sijing was too lazy to count them, and the weight was about 19 jin. In short, these foods added together weighed about 210 jin. And all these foods were stuffed into a small freezer by Li Sijing. Then, she put the small freezer into the mustard space. Next, it was time to sort out the ordinary food. There were 24 jin of rice left, and about 1 jin of ground rice. In addition, there were 2 jin of peanuts, 4 jin of soybeans, and 7 eggs, 10 jin of corn, 20 jin of potatoes, and 10 jin of unharvested ones in the planting pots should also be counted. In the first world, there were about 2 jin of dried mushrooms. As for leeks, there were about 7 jin, plus onions, ginger, garlic, millet and peppers. About 2 jin. There are still about 10 jin of apples left from the trade with Zhou Qinghuan. There are also 4 jin of the cherry tomatoes with broken skin. Oh! And we have to add the oranges that will be harvested soon. All of these together are less than 200 jin. Put them all in the second small freezer, and then store them in the mustard space. Oh! There are still 15 sugar canes. Originally, they were supposed to be used to make sugar, but there was no time, so they have been kept until now. Such long sugar canes definitely cannot be put into the small freezer. So, let's put the next to the freezer on the ground of the mustard space. In this way, in addition to the snack cabinet, there are still some snacks left. The rest of the food has been packed up. Next, we have to pack clothes. The winter clothes were originally packed in compression bags and vacuumed. Unfortunately, it is also very cold in this world of eternal night. So, those compression bags were finally opened irresistibly. Among them, a set of clothes was destroyed at the resource point. Oh! And there is also this down jacket on Li Sijing. It was inevitably destroyed when fighting with the taper before. So, Li Sijing now packs up. And there are fewer clothes to take back. But even so, the 5 compression bags opened at that time are still not enough. At this moment, 3 of them are filled with quilts, and the other 2 are filled with clothes. There are still some clothes left that cannot be packed. Li Sijing can only hang them all in the closet with a dryer. Of course, Li Sijing will not forget the most important thing: the basalt scale clothes she is wearing. This protective clothing is of great help to her. Li Sijing naturally had to take it off and put it away properly. So, the 5 compression bags were put into the mustard space and placed on top of the freezer. As for the full wardrobe dryer, it was placed next to the freezer. The most important food and clothing have been packed. Next, there are some magical special props. For example, there are 16 special candles left that are very useful in the eternal night world. There are also 11 small leisure and entertainment items that increase the upper limit of Li Sijing's mood value. Another example is the incense relay incense burner in the last insect plague world. There are still 11 insect repellent incense sticks, 16 bottles of insecticide, and 24 detoxification pills left. There are only a few acid-proof spray layers and defogging sprays left. A lot of warm baby patches were replaced at that time. And there are still 75 of them now. Even the cooling patches. There are still 42. The most important thing is that there are 8 remaining car maintenance cards. By the way, Li Sijing used a car maintenance card in the middle of the natural disaster day. After that, he dealt with 2 attacks by large beasts such as tapirs. Although the RV can still hold on, it is inevitable that it has suffered damage. It is about to travel back to Earth. And the RV will also travel with it. In order to prevent any accidents, Li Sijing decided to use a car maintenance card to restore the RV to a brand new state. So, the original 8 car maintenance cards directly became 7. And these 7 car maintenance cards will be rare treasures after returning to Earth. Once the RV is damaged and cannot be repaired manually, these cards will come in handy. Put all these magical props into the mustard space and keep them properly. After cleaning up like this, Li Sijing's RV suddenly became much emptier. Li Sijing looked around and then came to the driving area. There are 2 shelves on the co-pilot seat in the driving area. The bottom layer of the shelves are all some machines. For example, ice makers, meat grinders, stone mills, manual noodle machines, ice cream machines, yeast machines, water purifiers, sausage enema machines, oil presses, wall breakers. There are also soy milk machines and microwave ovens that have never been used. As for the shelves, there are some daily necessities. For example, folding tables, folding chairs, folding beds, mats, and large parasols that have not been used for a long time. There are also things like hair dryers, oilcloths, scales, gas masks, miner headlamps, storage baskets, etc. Anyway, all kinds of messy supplies are piled on 2 shelves, one large and one small. So, Li Sijing waved his hand directly. All the supplies, including the 2 shelves, were put into the mustard space. Next, there are the sundries in the kitchen and bathroom. Coming to the back of the RV, Li Sijing chose to clean up the kitchen first. What pots and pans, kitchen knives, scissors, bowls and chopsticks, plates, spoons, brushes. There are also kettles, rice cookers, thermoses, etc. Li Sijing didn't leave anything behind, and the small ones were stacked on the big ones. Then, all these things were placed on the mobile stove that had not been used for a long time. Then, with a wave of his hand, the mobile stove and all the things were put into the mustard space. By the way, all the remaining seasonings were also taken away in one pot. Then it was the bathroom. Compared with the kitchen, the bathroom was much easier to clean. There were only some toiletries, which were cleaned up in 1 or 2 minutes. Finally, Li Sijing returned to the activity area. Then she began to put away the most important things. Weapons and wound medicine, a novice wooden stick for threshing rice, and a tang sword that had not been used for a long time. There were also axes, military shovels, pistols, fen needles, and javelins with ropes. And the main force today, bullets, pistols and submachine guns. As for wound medicine, at the beginning, I exchanged ordinary wound medicine with Zhou Qinghuan, and there were about 100 G left. There are still 2 pills of life-saving medicine. After putting all these things into the mustard space, at this moment, there is still about 1 cubic meter of free space in the 5 cubic meters of mustard space. I have to say that space storage still needs to be sorted. Before, there were not so many things put away. Li Sijing always felt that the mustard space was not enough. Now after this sorting, I finally understand that 5 cubic meters can really hold a lot of things. At this moment, in the entire RV, except for the planting pots and breeding cages, all other supplies have been cleaned up. As for the planting pots and breeding cages, just in case, Li Sijing is not going to put them in the mustard space. Instead, she is going to use the cross-supply carrying card to bring them back to Earth. After nearly an hour of sorting, Li Sijing is exhausted. But before she can sit down and rest for a while, suddenly, the notification sound of the survival game rang in her ears. Chapter 533 The Real Truth. The ranking list statistics time has ended. Congratulations on winning the first place in the overall list. The reward has been distributed to the World Channel. Please check it. Li Sijing remembered that the resistance ranking list this time was closed 1 hour before the end of the natural disaster. So, is it 11 o'clock now? So, The steps that were originally prepared to walk towards the seat suddenly walked towards the planting pot again. I won the first place in the ranking list. And the reward has been distributed. So there is no need to rush to collect it. The oranges in the planting pot can be picked. But there is no time to delay. There are a total of 91 kilograms of oranges. After picking, all of them are put into the small freezer that has been arranged long ago. Then, Li Sijing came to the seat and sat down. To be honest, she was quite curious about what that special reward was. After clicking on the world channel, Li Sijing clicked on the ranking list. Suddenly, 3 rewards wrapped in white mist appeared in front of her. The way the rewards were distributed this time was really unique. Li Sijing first clicked on the white mist mystery on the far left. Congratulations! You have received the reward for carrying a vehicle through time. This is a reward that all the top 10 on the list will receive. Unfortunately, Li Sijing doesn't need it. After all, she already has the card for carrying a vehicle through time. Then, it was the second white mist mystery. Congratulations! You have received the plant-based superpower. Yeah, it's a superpower reward that only the top 3 on the list can have. Li Sijing got the plant-based superpower this time. Although it sounds like it's not as powerful as the ice-based and thunder-based superpowers. However, Li Sijing couldn't help but think that there would be plant and animal mutations on Earth in the later period. She thought that this ability should be able to play a good role in the later period. In short, Li Sijing was already very satisfied to be a dual system ability user. The previous 2 white fog mysteries have been revealed. So this last white fog mystery should be the special reward. Right? Li Sijing opened it carefully with curiosity and expectation. Then, she got a letter? It was another letter? What kind of special reward is this? Is there any secret news to tell her? After opening the letter, the content inside was immediately presented to Li Sijing. Dear friend, hello. As a special existence selected by the system, I don't know whether I should congratulate you on your luck or worry about your misfortune. The first sentence in the letter immediately frightened Li Sijing greatly, and her eyes widened uncontrollably. System? The person who wrote the letter actually knew that she had obtained the system? Also, why is she lucky and unlucky? What does this mean? At this moment, Li Sijing had too many doubts in her mind, urging her to read on. First of all, I want to tell you that the secrets mentioned in the letter sent to everyone before are not all the truth. The truth is that the meteorite that brought countless disasters to the Earth actually landed on the Earth with something. And this thing is what I call the system. Did this sign-in system actually land on the Earth with the meteorite? Or is this system the protagonist? With a guess in his mind, Li Sijing continued to read on. According to our research, the biggest function of this system is to help the host become stronger. Therefore, the host chosen by it is actually very lucky. But this is very unfortunate for the Earth. Because, in order to help its host become stronger, this system is consuming all the energy on the Earth without scruples. If it is allowed to continue like this, then in the near future, the Earth and humans who have not yet evolved completely will be destroyed. Therefore, for the future of mankind and the Earth, we must stop it. Isn't this just consuming all the energy on the Earth without restraint to support one person? However, although the sign-in system is magical, but Li Sijing didn't feel that it was so powerful. So, what's going on? Fortunately, after unremitting research, we finally found a subtle loophole in it. This system will plunder energy from all aspects when making its host stronger. But there is only one aspect that cannot be plundered. That is luck. In simple terms, it is actually luck. So, when the host lacks luck, it will mobilize its own energy to make up for it. And when it mobilizes its own energy, it is our only chance to implant the tampering program. So, we finally came up with a solution. That is, strip a seed from this system and enter the survival game with the device. And this seed will fall on the person with the worst luck among the 100 million people captured. In this way, when it mobilizes its own energy and enhances the host's luck, our program is quietly implanted into the seed. Seeing this, Li Sijing finally understood. Why did she get this sign-in system when she was so unlucky? It was not as she thought, that she had accumulated all her luck and met this plug-in. It was because she had the worst luck that she was selected. In this way, Li Sijing actually had to thank her bad luck. This thought made her smile. However, Li Sijing was more concerned about one thing at this moment. Is this sign-in system she got just a seed of the system? No wonder it is not as powerful as mentioned before. So, Can she take this system seed away? Who has the real system? The biggest function of this system seed is to let the real system that descends from the sky select you when you return to Earth. In this way, our program will eventually enter the real system. However, please rest assured, our program will not harm you. It will only modify the system to a certain extent so that it will not use the energy on Earth indiscriminately. In fact, the system is equivalent to a castrated system. However, even a castrated system is stronger than the system seed in your body now. So, after returning to Earth, you will be destined to become a strong person in the future. At that time, if the Earth is in danger, I hope you can remember the kindness of getting the system today and lend a helping hand to the best of your ability. The above is the truth about the Earth and all the news about the system. This is your special reward for winning the first place in the overall list. Finally, congratulations to you, my unfortunate but lucky friend. Chapter 534 Return. A new journey. The letter ends here. And Li Sijing not only understood all the causes and consequences. More importantly, she knew that the system would actually belong to her. That is to say, when Li Sijing returns to Earth and the meteorite falls from the sky, she will completely own the system. Not a system seed, but a complete system. This is really great news. In fact, from the whole thing, Li Sijing is just a pawn and is being used. But, is this important? It doesn't matter. Li Sijing doesn't care at all. After all, if she wasn't used, how could she get the system seed? Or even the real system? I'm afraid that according to her situation at the time, she couldn't even survive the first natural disaster world. And those who died in the survival game will not remember anything here at all. By then, can she really survive in the crisis-ridden Earth? So, Li Sijing will not blame those who use her, but will be grateful. As for the system she got, is it a castrated version? It doesn't matter. If she really gets a complete version of the system, she will become stronger. But humans and the Earth will be finished. So what should she do then? Although the castrated version is not as good as the complete system, it is definitely better than the system seed. It is enough for her to survive well in the chaos of the Earth. Anyway, Li Sijing has no intention of becoming the king. As long as she can live well, it is good enough. As for extending a helping hand when she can, Li Sijing was also very willing. After all, she was originally prepared to do so. In short, this is the special reward for the first place. Although there is nothing substantial, just a letter. But Li Sijing was very satisfied in her heart. She spent a lot of time to check the letter. Now, there are still 30 minutes left before 12 o'clock. And Li Sijing also has to deal with the things that have not been completed. However, when closing the world channel, she suddenly thought of a problem. When Li Sijing just got the sign-in system, Xingyu was still very active. But later, it gradually ignored her and became silent. Is this because the programs written by humans gradually invaded? Unfortunately, Li Sijing's guess cannot be verified. After all, Xingyu has not paid attention to her for a long time. Shaking his head, put this irrelevant problem aside for the time being. Li Sijing took out the remaining cross-carrying cards again. 8 cross-carrying blueprint-carrying cards, and 10 cross-carrying material-carrying cards. Among them, 8 cross-carrying blueprint-carrying cards. Li Sijing selected 8 items that she would use frequently in her daily life from the drawings she had. For example, the drawings of paper towels, car anti-skid chains, underwear, and freezer. Finally, these 8 carrying cards were used up. However, the time travel material carrying cards could not be used up. After all of Li Sijing's materials had been put into the mustard space. There were only 5 items that needed to use the time travel material carrying cards. They were a breeding cage and 4 planting pots. The remaining 5 cards for carrying supplies for crossing gave Li Sijing a headache. It was definitely impossible to discard them. As for taking them out to trade with others, it was okay. But the key was that Li Sijing looked down on the exchange supplies taken out by others. She had never thought that one day she would be worried because of too many supplies. After thinking for a while, Li Sijing finally made a decision. Didn't she succeed in forming a team before? Since she didn't need them, she might as well distribute them to the team members. In this way, no matter what the other party brought back to Earth, it was also indirectly to enhance the strength of their team. Now, there was not much time left until 12 o'clock. Since the decision had been made, Li Sijing would not delay any longer. Directly contacted the other 3 people, and asked them if they needed carts for carrying supplies for crossing. Finally, based on the needs of the 3 people, the remaining 5 cards were distributed. They were 1 for Lu Yizhou, 1 for Wu Aigua, and 3 for Zhou Qingwan. After Li Xijing sent the cards over, not long after, the 3 of them actually sent a lot of things. They said that the supplies that could not be taken away should be dealt with by Li Xijing. Take what can be taken away, and throw away the rest. Among them, the supplies sent by Zhou Qingwan. It was more than 10 kilograms of apples, and some potatoes and vegetables. Obviously, these were all grown by her in planting pots. In addition, a large bag of various snacks was also sent, and the supplies sent by Lu Yizhou. It was dozens of kilograms of frozen high-quality beef. Obviously, this meat was the stock of his first world. As for Wu Aigua, he sent a lot of daily necessities. In short, the supplies sent by the 3 people were piled up into a small hill in the activity area again. Li Xijing accepted these things without hesitation. After all, even if she didn't accept them, these things could not be taken away. There happened to be some space in Li Xijing's mustard space. So, she first put away all the food in this pile of supplies. Then, she selectively selected some better daily necessities. After filling up the 5 cubic meters of mustard space, Li Xijing looked at the remaining supplies and could only show regretful eyes. At this moment, there were only the last 10 minutes left before 12 o'clock. Li Xijing stood up and checked the entire RV from beginning to end, from top to bottom. Wanted to see if there was anything missing. Not to mention, she really saw an item that she almost forgot. It was the intercom at the bedside. This intercom is not a car accessory, so it must be put into the mustard space before it can be taken away. There are still the last 5 minutes. Li Xijing came to the planting pots again. In 2 of the planting pots, the potatoes planted before were now ready to be harvested. After handling all of this properly, before 12 o'clock, Li Xijing finally sat upright in the driver's seat. In the previous world, at this time, Li Xijing was curious about traveling to the new world, but he didn't have any expectations. But this time was different. Sitting in the driver's seat, watching the countdown of time, the excitement and expectation in Li Xijing's heart were really strong. At this moment, the regional channel was also more lively than ever before. Everyone sent out their last message. Goodbye, everyone. Earth, I'm back. Bye, everyone. Motherland, wait for me to save you. And Li Xijing also sent out her last message very appropriately. Goodbye. Survival game. New journey. Here I come. Then, Li Xijing turned off the blue screen and stared at the darkness ahead. Is it finally time to return to Earth? Countless disasters? Mutations of plants and animals? And the superpowers that make people look forward to? The most important thing is the system that belongs to her. At this moment, Li Xijing's heartbeat was like thunder. Boom, boom, boom. 12 o'clock finally arrived. Unlike before, the car body did not shake slightly. There was no expected sci-fi scene of traveling through space. It was just a blink of an eye, and time and space were instantly converted. The long-lost light appeared in front of her eyes. There was no discomfort in her eyes, but Li Xijing subconsciously raised her hand to block the bright light. Her eyes were alert, watching the surroundings. This is computer, desk, office building. Yes, Li Xijing suddenly remembered. As a social animal, she was working before she traveled through time. So, she really returned to Earth from the survival world. But what about those things that should have traveled back with her? Li Xijing subconsciously used her left hand to touch the mustard seed space on the pinky finger of her right hand. The pinky ring was still there, and the things in the mustard seed space were still there. Moreover, Li Xijing felt that dozens of cards were flashing in her mind. They were the time travel carrying cards she had used. As long as she had a thought, she could take out the things inside. So, she was really back. Everything was back. Then the first thing Li Xijing had to do was to rush back to her home. However, before she could make any move, she suddenly heard a cry. Ah! Look! Is that a meteor shower? Oh my god! It's really a meteor shower. But it's daytime now. Why are they so bright? Why do I feel something is wrong? Oh my god! There is a meteorite coming towards us. Fuck. It's getting closer and closer to us. Oh my god. Run! However, before they could make any move, a huge meteorite flew over. No one saw it. and in the meteorite that hit the office building. Suddenly, a slightly distorted light flashed. After this light appeared, it went straight to Li Sijing and finally merged into her head. Ding! The sign-in system is successfully bound. You can get various resources by signing in every day, and you will also get rich rewards by completing the tasks issued by the system at random. Please complete today's sign-in to get rewards. System tasks are randomly generated. Please wait. A long-lost system. Next, I will embark on a new journey with Li Sijing. So far, the dreamlike survival game has come to an end, and Li Sijing's turbulent and glorious journey will also slowly unfold on the future Earth. Chapter 535 Extra, Full of Luck. Earth, December 25th, 2023. 10 o'clock in the morning. This is a day worth remembering for everyone, and it is also the beginning of a new era. A sudden meteor shower brought countless meteorites from outer space to this world with disasters. Li Sijing, who had just woken up from the Zhozhuang dream butterfly, didn't even have time to think about it, and was about to be swept away by the disaster. However, compared with other panicked colleagues, Li Sijing had some confidence in her heart. At least she clearly understood what was going on, and the experience of more than a month in the other world also gave her a few more means of self-protection in this disaster. Li Sijing works on the 6th floor of the office building. Just now, a meteorite from outer space landed and hit the outer wall of the 6th floor, creating a huge hole that could accommodate a car. Then the meteorite went down like a broken bamboo and made a big hole in the floor. I don't know how many floors it fell to. Fortunately, this office building is a landmark building in the city, and the quality is still quite good. Even though it has suffered such a severe blow, it has no intention of collapsing for the time being. Avoiding colleagues who were pushing and shouting at each other in a hurry to escape, Li Sijing quickly returned to her position. She quickly opened the drawer, took out a backpack from the innermost part, and ran to the tea room. Although the company where Li Sijing works is not a top 500 enterprise in the country, it is also a large company with good treatment. For example, there are always some snacks and drinks in the tea room. After Li Sijing came to the tea room, she quickly put snacks into her backpack. Snacks are naturally high in calories, such as chocolate, dried meat, etc. After all, she can almost imagine how bad the journey will be, so she still needs to stock up some supplies. As for the many foods that Li Sijing brought from the survival game, first, the situation is chaotic now, and it is inconvenient to take them. Second, the letters from the ancestors clearly stated that the food brought from the survival game has special energy and is helpful for superpowers. If it is used as daily consumption, wouldn't it be a waste? After the backpack was full, Li Sijing took 2 more bottles of mineral water and left quickly. While she was collecting supplies, people in the company had already fled in droves. Now the road where Li Sijing left was very empty. At this time, the elevator must not be taken, and she went down along the fire escape stairs. Li Sijing, who was already very calm, did not forget the plugin she had just obtained. Xing, sign in. The word Xingyu was on the tip of her tongue, but she swallowed it back. The system is different now. So will the Xingyao, who accompanied her through the initial stage of the alien world, still appear? As Li Sijing finished speaking, a familiar 9-square grid suddenly appeared in her mind. Portable space, farm system, off-road RV, full luck, doubled physical fitness, armored vehicle, hot weapon production line drawings, full defense, combat value plus 100. Same recipe, same taste. It is exactly the same as the content in the survival game. I only got the worst physical fitness doubling before. Will there be any changes this time? However, thinking about my luck, Li Sijing felt that it was better not to be wishful thinking. The 9-square grid in my mind jumped quickly. However, although there might be no surprises, Li Sijing still paid full attention. After all, with Li Sijing's current physical fitness, if it can be doubled again, it may cause a qualitative change. The light jumped faster and faster, almost turning into an afterimage. But even so, Li Sijing, who has 6 senses, can still see it accurately. In the end, the light really stopped at the doubling of physical fitness. Just when Li Sijing was preparing to welcome the physical enhancement, the light jumped again. And this jump was contrary to common sense. It did not jump backwards, but jumped forward. So, what was supposed to be a doubling of physical fitness turned out to be full luck. Full luck? Fuck. Full luck. This can't be true? Could it be that her luck has improved? Or, the reward for the first place in the survival game is actually the luck value? Just when Li Sijing was thinking about it, the 9-square grid in her mind disappeared. And then a sentence appeared. Dear friend, this is the last help we can give you. Use the remaining energy in the meteorite to forcibly change the result of the first sign-in, so that you have invincible luck. And with this system, you will achieve your brilliant future. Now, the system has been tampered with, and the fate of the Earth's future destruction has also been changed. We succeeded. As for the various disasters and mutations that the Earth is about to face, I think with the unity of all compatriots, the dawn will finally come. Although we can't see the future, we still congratulate Xiaogua, the entire human race, and the rainbow after the storm. It turned out to be them? Before Li Sijing thought carefully, the sound of the system machinery suddenly sounded in her mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the first sign-in, getting the full value of luck, and successfully activating the sign-in system. Ding! The system has an error. Starting the self-check program. Ding! An unknown virus is detected. Starting the antivirus mode. Ding! The system has been invaded. Ding! The invasion is successful. The sign-in system is restarting. Please wait! A series of prompts. Ding 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 in Li Sijing's mind, one after another, making people overwhelmed. However, these prompts, combined with the words that appeared in her mind before, let her know one thing clearly. That is, this sign-in system has really been successfully invaded. They, all those predecessors who worked hard for it, that whimsical plan, really succeeded. Not only that, Li Sijing also got full luck. This is really a pleasant surprise. That's full luck. Thinking about Zhou Qinghuan's experience in the survival game, Li Sijing's mind suddenly had some fantasies. Next, will she also live a beautiful life where dangers are avoided and good things come to her door? However, this sign-in system has been restarting, and I don't know when it can be restarted successfully. Chapter 536 Extra, System Task. The sign-in system has been restarting, but it did not delay Li Sijing's actions. From the 6th floor to the 1st floor, Li Sijing kept walking, continued down the stairs, and went to the parking lot. She was going to find a means of transportation. The house that Li Sijing rented was not too far from the office building, but she was not going to go back. After all, the house was rented. There were too many variables, and it was unsafe. Li Sijing was going to rush to the agreed location as soon as possible to meet up with the other 3 teammates. The 4 of them were in 4 different cities. In order to avoid wasting time, they finally took a central point and agreed to meet in H City. If you want to rush to H City, you must first leave the city and take the national highway or the expressway. If you want to leave the city, it is obviously not feasible to rely on 2 legs or electric vehicles alone. If the country is peaceful and the people are safe, there are many options for buses, subways, and taxis. At this stage, the best way is to find a car. Where are the most cars? Naturally, it is the parking lot. As for the double-decker RV that Li Sijing brought out from the survival game, that is not a vehicle that can be used in the city. After all, it is long and tall. So, Li Sijing prepared to find an empty car in the underground parking lot so that she could drive out of the city. At this moment, there were still some people in the huge underground parking lot. In order to avoid trouble, Li Sijing avoided those areas with people. Li Sijing actually had a target, an off-road vehicle of her boss. I don't know what brand it is. Anyway, it looks very expensive, and I think the performance must be good. The most important thing is that Li Sijing vaguely remembered that her boss went on a business trip to the capital a few days ago. More importantly, she has the key. Well, before going downstairs, she went to the drawer in the boss's office to get it. Avoiding the crowd, Li Sijing went straight to the SUV, but in an inconspicuous corner halfway, she saw a car smoking. With Li Sijing's eagle eyes, she saw the specific situation very clearly. A silver-white car, penetrated from top to bottom by something unknown. After looking at the unrecognizable car, Li Sijing looked up again. The white and bright light shot in from top to bottom, and it actually made sunlight appear in the underground parking lot. This is the meteorite that fell from the 6th floor? Did it fall into the parking lot below? Li Sijing turned around and walked to that corner. She knew clearly that although these meteorites brought many disasters, they also contained magical energy. Since it is so close, it is natural to take it. When she came to the silver-white car, Li Sijing turned her right hand, and an axe suddenly appeared in her hand. This axe was originally used by her to chop the bones of wild animals. And now it is naturally easy to break windows. Aiming at the corner of the car window and exerting a little force, the car window glass suddenly made a click and shattered all over the floor. After opening the car door, Li Sijing finally found a fist-sized meteorite under the incinerated passenger seat. The bluish-white meteorite, emitting heat, is obviously not something that can be taken with bare hands. It is obviously not advisable to look for anti-scalding gloves at this time. Li Sijing could only look for useful objects in the mustard seed space. Clothes? Quilts? No. There will be a small ice age later, so don't waste them. Rags? Towels? This is fine. Take out the few towels from the mustard seed space and cover it. Still no. That's right. Li Sijing suddenly remembered the rabbit skin and white fox skin she got when she hunted small wild animals before. I wanted to keep them as a pillow or a shawl, but I never took action. Both pieces of skin were brought back by Li Sijing, and now they can be used. Cover it with the rabbit skin first, before wrapping the white fox skin. Li Sijing could clearly feel that the heat on the meteorite was gone. What is this? Li Sijing tentatively picked up the meteorite through the rabbit skin. Only then did he find that the heat on the meteorite was still there, but it was not felt through the rabbit skin. Is there something strange about this rabbit skin? Is it that this skin originally has such a heat-insulating effect? Or, Li Sijing couldn't help but think of what the predecessor said in their letters before. The food brought out from the survival game is good for superpowers, and other items will also have magical effects. What is the specific reason? At this moment, no conclusion can be drawn. Let's put it aside for now, and think about it later when we have time. Carefully wrap the meteorite with rabbit skin, and then put it into the mustard space. Li Sijing got off the car and walked towards the off-road vehicle. While walking, the sound of the sign-in system sounded again in his mind. Ding! Energy information is detected. Do you want to absorb it to speed up the system restart progress? Energy information? Is it the meteorite she just got? Unexpectedly, this meteorite can not only accelerate the growth of superpowers, but also affect the progress of system restart. So, should I absorb it? After only 2 seconds of thinking, Li Sijing decided to absorb it. The most important thing is to restart the system first. As for superpowers, you can lean back. At worst, you can look for other meteorites later. By the way, Li Sijing got a meteorite during the car search this time. It should be the full value of luck that worked. Right? Otherwise, according to her original luck, it is estimated that she would not even see the slag. Since she can meet the first one, can she hope to meet the second or even the third meteorite? While the meteorite was being absorbed by the sign-in system, Li Sijing finally came to the SUV. Press the key, open the door, and start the ignition. When Li Sijing drove the SUV out of the underground parking lot, the sound of the sign-in system sounded again in her mind. Ding! The sign-in system has been successfully restarted. Hello host. I am the sign-in system. You can name me. The host's environment and thoughts have been detected, and the system tasks are now released. Main task: lead the motherland to resist the impending disaster, so that the human race and the motherland can continue to exist forever. After 5 years, the more people survive, the more complete the civilization is, the less industrial damage is, and the higher the completion rate is. Reward: unknown. Side task: collect meteorites from outer space and strengthen yourself. Reward: help the host absorb meteorite energy without side effects and strengthen superpowers. Daily task: collect supplies and escape from the city. The minimum driving distance is 200 kilometers. Reward: daily supplies package. Team task: released after the team is successfully formed. Chapter 537 Extra: picking up meteorites. A sudden meteorite from outer space has caused quite a stir on the entire Earth. However, apart from the initial panic, as the national forces were deployed, there was not much chaos. So, when Li Sijing drove the off-road vehicle to the city's highway, order had already been restored outside. In addition to the people in a hurry, many uniformed policemen appeared on the road. The whole city was like a post-disaster scene. Almost every distance, you can see a big pit hit by a meteorite from outer space. Li Sijing, who was still thinking about the series of tasks issued after the sign-in system was restarted, couldn't help but focus all her attention on the present. So many meteorites from outer space? Such a good opportunity. She would not give up. So, Li Xijing, who was originally planning to leave the city as soon as possible, had to stop and go. The edge of the road was smoking, and she rushed over and picked up a finger-sized meteorite through the rabbit's skin. The lawn of the green belt was smoking, and another meteorite was found. There was a hole in the middle of the road. But unfortunately, no meteorite was found. There was a hole in the wall of a roadside shop. But unfortunately, it was surrounded by police. Along the way, Li Xijing saw many places where there might be meteorites. Unfortunately, the chance of getting a meteorite is only about half, except for the occasional empty space, and the meteorite was taken away by someone. Most places with meteorites have been surrounded by people or police. At the beginning of this disaster, time is very precious, and Li Xijing does not want to use it in meaningless conflicts. Therefore, as long as there were people near the meteorites, she would give up directly. After all, there were meteorites everywhere at this time. And if there were people here, she would go to other places to look for them. This search took nearly an hour. Until more than 11 o'clock. Military trucks appeared one after another on the road, and soldiers kept pouring out of the military trucks. They were disciplined and had clear division of labor, running towards every place where there might be meteorites. The country's response was really fast. I think they should have studied the meteorites as soon as possible and obtained some useful results. Since the country has already taken action, it is obviously not advisable to try to pick up meteorites in the city. After thinking about this clearly, Li Xijing stopped immediately. However, she couldn't make any plans for these meteorites in the city. But it was different outside the city. Although there were many soldiers in the country, they would be clumsy if they were scattered everywhere. The city has a large population. So in order to prevent the meteorites from falling into the hands of others, it is obviously the first choice for the state to clean up. The area outside the city is vast and sparsely populated, so it is probably placed in the second echelon of the cleanup. Therefore, as long as Li Xijing leaves the city before the state, there is still a chance to pick up leaks. Coincidentally, she was originally planning to leave the city as soon as possible and rush to H City to meet up with her teammates. But before that, Li Xijing had to find a place to refuel the car, and she also had to fill her stomach. She sat down in a restaurant at random and ordered a few dishes. While waiting for the dishes to be served, Li Xijing finally had time to take a serious inventory. First of all, after the previous busyness, a total of 6 meteorites were harvested. These meteorites are of different sizes. Some are as big as a baby's fist, and some are as small as a finger. The 6 meteorites together are similar to the meteorite that Li Xijing got at first. As for the first meteorite, half of it was used to restart the sign-in system. So, Li Xijing now has 7 meteorites in his hand, about 1.5 the size of an adult's fist. These meteorites are still emitting a lot of heat, and they are all wrapped in rabbit skin and stored in the mustard space. There is also the sign-in system, which has been successfully restarted and several system tasks have been released. First of all, the main task is very grand, and the reward is unknown. Although I don't know what the specific reward is. This task is not small, and the reward should be large. This task does not conflict with Li Xijing's original plan, but it needs to be slightly adjusted in the details. Originally, Li Xijing planned to focus on team development and cooperate with the country as a supplement. Now it seems that we must strengthen cooperation with the country to better complete this main task. Then, there is the side quest, collecting meteorites from outer space, which is also what she is working hard on. And absorbing meteorite energy without side effects is a very suitable reward for her. After all players who come back from the survival game with memories know that these meteorites have magical powers. But no one knows how to absorb them specifically, and whether they will be harmful to the body. With this reward, she has taken a step ahead of others. Li Xijing is very much looking forward to absorbing meteorite energy and strengthening her own abilities. However, since it is her first time, she doesn't know whether there will be any abnormal phenomena in the process of absorbing energy. So in order to avoid trouble, Li Xijing planned to wait until she was out of the city and find a deserted place to absorb it. Next, there are daily tasks. Escaping from the city, which is also what she has to do next. Since it is a daily task, it should be a task that will be done every day. Right? The task is not difficult. And I don't know what the daily material gift package of the reward is. Finally, there will be a team task. Is it so considerate? By the way, This new sign-in system is indeed better than the pirated system in the survival game, and its functions are more comprehensive. The only pity is probably the disappearance of Xingyou. System naming, Xingyou, Li Xijing said silently in her heart. Then, the voice of the system sounded in her mind. Ding. Naming is successful. The sign-in system Xingyou is at your service. Before Li Xijing continued to sigh, the waiter came over with the dishes she ordered. In that case, let's eat first. Don't say that although this restaurant is not big, one of the fish-flavored pork shreds tastes really good. Even Li Xijing, who had the skills of a chef, might not be able to beat him, let alone her without the skills of a chef. Unfortunately, her mustard space was already full. Otherwise she would have to pack up some food and take it away. After finishing this satisfying lunch, Li Xijing drove to the nearest gas station and filled up the large tank of the off-road vehicle. Then, she found a convenience store and bought some food and water for a week before driving away. Chapter 538 Extra, National Special Military Warning. Li Xijing and the other 3 teammates agreed to meet in H City the day after tomorrow. And there are still more than 2 days. It takes about 10 hours to go from Li Xijing City to H City by highway. However, since she wants to get more meteorites from outer space, she naturally cannot take the highway along the way. After carefully checking the map, Li Xijing finally chose the national highway. According to the route she planned, it will take about 15 hours to reach the destination. Counting the time for rest and the time for searching for meteorites from outer space, it should be possible to reach the destination the day after tomorrow. Now that she is still in the city, Li Xijing's car speed can only be maintained at about 60 to 70 miles per hour. For her with racing driver skills, this speed is a piece of cake. So, Li Xijing took out her mobile phone and made a call while driving. In the survival game, when they agreed to form a team, the 4 of them had already communicated with each other. Now it has been 2 hours since they came back, and I think everything has been handled. It is also time to contact each other and understand each other's situation. After the 3 calls were made, Li Xijing had a rough idea in her mind. Zhou Qingwan's family of 3, with both parents alive and well off, had a lot to clean up. So they said they would leave tomorrow. Wu Aiguo was going to the countryside to pick up his grandparents and prepare various supplies, and he would also leave tomorrow. As for Louis Zhou, with his parents and younger brother, he would probably leave the day after tomorrow. Fortunately, Louis Zhou's location was the closest to H City, so he could get there the same day if he was faster. From this point of view, Li Xijing is alone and has no burden. But she is the fastest one. After contacting her teammates, she thought for a while. Li Xijing did not put down the phone, but dialed a set of numbers again. This set of numbers is the phone number attached to the letter called Special Reward for winning the first place in the overall ranking list in the survival game. Dial this phone, and you can connect to the highest leader of the country. In Li Xijing's view, such a phone call should be the most important existence in the reward. It allows her to talk to the country at the beginning of the disaster, when she is not famous, and tell the information she knows. Of course, Li Xijing knows it clearly. Among those who come back from the survival game with memories, there must be someone who can contact the motherland and inform the relevant information. But how to gain the trust of the country is a difficult problem. And this problem, behind the letter, there is also a solution. In addition to the phone number, there is also a password in the letter. A password to activate the country's special military warning. This is also the biggest confidence for Li Xijing to dare to dial this phone. Next, the whole world will face a series of disasters. Now that she has known the information, Li Xijing is naturally willing to share it with her country. Beep, beep, beep. The sound from the phone was plain and simple, and it was picked up after 3 beeps. Hello. Who are you, and why do you have this phone call? Although in the survival game, Li Xijing relied on the plug-in to climb to the highest point step by step. But now facing the real boss, the top leader of the country, she couldn't help but feel nervous. Taking a deep breath, Li Xijing finally stabilized her thoughts and spoke calmly. Hello, leader. I am a survivor of the survival game. I think you already know what the survival game is, right? After coming out of the survival game, there will always be someone who will report the survival game to the country as soon as possible. So with the speed of the country, although half believing and half doubting, but in 2 hours, I think everyone who should know the news should have known it. This is also one of the reasons why Li Xijing did not make this call as soon as she came back. Otherwise, She would have to explain what the survival game is. Sure enough, after a pause on the other end of the phone, she answered, I know. In this way, there are many people in front of her, so she doesn't have to waste too much words and can get straight to the point. This meteorite contains special energy that can stimulate human superpowers. The country can collect as much as possible within this week. In addition, the country must enter a state of readiness and make preparations early, because there are countless disasters waiting in the future. At this moment, the global temperature is gradually rising, and it will reach its highest point in 7 days. The outdoor temperature will reach more than 60 degrees and last for a week. During this period, the glaciers will melt, the seawater will flow back, and the coastal areas will be completely submerged. Then the temperature will drop sharply, and after a week, it will enter a small ice age, with the outdoor temperature at minus 50 degrees, which will last for a week. The abnormal temperature will end in a month. That is, on January 25th, 2024. Finally, mutated bloodthirsty plants and animals will appear on the Earth, competing with humans for living space. Li Sijing kept speaking, and said everything that would happen in the future in one breath. The leader on the other end of the phone was also very patient and listened quietly. He waited until Li Sijing finished speaking before he spoke again. I have heard about all these things. As expected, such important information, even if it is temporarily impossible to judge whether it is true or false. As the top leader, he should still know it. Li Sijing continued to speak. I know that this matter is difficult to distinguish between true and false, and you should be very embarrassed. Even if you take action, you will have worries. This information and this phone number were told to me by your future self. In addition, I also got a password, which should be enough for you to go all out next. Then, Li Sijing slowly said the password that only the top leader of the country knew to activate the country's special military warning. As soon as the password was spoken, there was a sound from the other end of the phone. It should be the sound of a chair being pushed violently. Then, a somewhat anxious but still steady voice came from the phone. Comrade, thank you for the timely news. The country will take action immediately. If you have any more news or needs, you can call me. Time is of the essence now. After the defense is completed in a week, the country will reward you for your contribution. At this point, the phone was hung up. Chapter 539 Extra, Absorbing Meteorite Energy. When it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Li Sijing finally drove the off-road vehicle onto the national highway. The road conditions on the national highway were good, but there were fewer cars than on the highway. During the driving process, Li Sijing did not forget her original purpose, which was to find meteorites from outer space. As long as she could see a place, she would stop the car to look for it. After searching 10 times, she could always get 5 or 6 meteorites of different sizes. But in this way, the speed was not a little slower, and she kept driving. Got off the car to look for meteorites, then drove again, and then got off the car. The physical and mental energy consumed by repeated actions without rest cannot be ignored. At this time, Li Sijing missed the starry sky that she brought out from the survival game. At least, when there was the starry sky, she never had to worry about driving. Unfortunately, the starry sky was bound to the double-decker RV and could not be taken out alone for use on other vehicles. As for taking out the double-decker RV at this time, Li Sijing had never considered it, because the disadvantages were too great. Although there were few vehicles on the national highway, there were still cars, and Li Sijing's double-decker RV was too eye-catching. Driving such a flashy RV and stopping on the national highway was simply asking for trouble. Although Li Sijing's martial arts value was off the charts now, he also had guns, ammunition and dual-system abilities. But using violence to solve the problem would only push things into a more troublesome situation. Although Li Sijing knew very well that the first disaster would come in 7 days. But at least before that, the order of this country is still there and cannot be challenged. So, before the disaster comes, she should keep a low profile. As for when the RV can be used, Li Sijing thinks that it is better to wait until she reunites with her teammates. By then, there will be 4 RVs, plus many people together, and those who want to make trouble will at least think twice. Li Sijing walked and stopped along the way, looking for meteorites on the way to H City. This journey lasted until 10 o'clock in the evening. Fortunately, Li Sijing has night vision skills. Otherwise she would have to stop as soon as it gets dark, for a full 8 hours, except for 10 minutes in the middle to eat some bread to fill her stomach. She did not stop at all. Fortunately, after a lot of hard work, the results are also very impressive. In addition to the 7 meteorites originally obtained in the city, Li Sijing now has 38 more meteorites in his hands. The only pity is that she has only walked about 1/3 of the goal on the way. However, at this time, it is time to find a place to rest. Li Sijing found a fork in the national highway and stopped by the roadside. In fact, the place where she was not a place like the wilderness. If Li Sijing wanted, she could find a village or a small hotel without driving forward. But she did not do so, but prepared to rest in the car for a night. In addition to saving time, the more important thing is, after spending a month in the survival game, she actually felt a little resistant when facing humans. This is an abnormal psychological state. People should be social creatures. Li Sijing knew this very well. But she couldn't do it. The experience in the survival game told her that it was the safest time to live alone. Encountering humans was unknown, because it could be a friend or a disaster. Even though Li Sijing knew clearly in her heart that the disaster had not yet arrived and people were the most harmless. But she still chose to rest in the car instead of looking for a small hotel. Li Sijing knew that there was something wrong with her mentality, but she couldn't correct it for a while. I don't know if she can adapt to the crowd again one day in the future. Sitting in the car, Li Sijing took out bread again to fill her stomach. After replenishing her energy, she didn't rest immediately. Li Sijing took out all the meteorites she had obtained from the mustard seed space. Now there was no one around. She decided to try to absorb the energy of the meteorites. 45 meteorites were wrapped in 2 pieces of leather and piled on the co-pilot seat, which looked quite spectacular. Li Sijing picked out the smallest one. This piece was only as thick as a finger, not even as long as the little finger. Xingyao. Absorb, Li Sijing muttered in her heart. Then, the sign and system Xingyao responded immediately. Ding. Energy is detected. And superpowers can be strengthened. Please choose which superpower to strengthen. Which one to strengthen? The plant superpower was just obtained before leaving the survival game, and I haven't had a chance to try it yet. If I strengthen the plant superpower at this moment, there is no way to know the effect without comparison. It's been a while since I got the ice ability. When I was in the survival game, Li Sijing would take some time to exercise every day. Now I can strengthen it and understand the specific situation. So, Li Sijing made a choice. Strengthen the ice ability. At the moment of making the choice, Li Sijing suddenly felt a cold thing passing through her eyebrows and into her mind. I don't know how long this feeling lasted. Although she closed her eyes, Li Sijing felt that her eyes were slightly bright. Then she saw a snow-white bright spot the size of a rice grain appeared in front of her. This is the ice ability crystal. Although it was the first time she saw it, Li Sijing inexplicably knew what it was. This bright spot is the ice ability crystal. So what about the plant ability she has? Li Sijing observed carefully and saw a green plant ability crystal like dust next to the ice ability crystal. Before Li Sijing could take a closer look, everything in front of her suddenly disappeared, and it was dark. By the way, she closed her eyes. Li Sijing opened her eyes quickly, and the faint light of the moon and stars appeared in front of her. Just now, that was the crystal of ice-type supernatural power, and the crystal of plant-type supernatural power. The difference is really big. It should be the meteorite she absorbed just now that has taken effect. Then, let her try to see how much the ice-type supernatural power that absorbs the energy of the meteorite has been enhanced. Then, Li Sijing concentrated her mind and mobilized the ice-type supernatural power in her mind. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. When the 7 seconds were counted, an icicle suddenly appeared on Li Sijing's fingertips. It only takes 7 seconds. Li Sijing clearly remembered that it took her 10 seconds to condense an icicle before. This speed was increased by nearly 1/3 in an instant. Not bad. Not bad. Next, let's experiment with plant-based abilities. However, when Li Sijing took the second smallest meteorite and wanted to absorb it, she was rejected by Xingyu. Ding. There is only one chance to absorb meteorite energy without side effects every day. Please try again tomorrow. Can only one piece be absorbed every day? Then she will have to pick a big meteorite to absorb tomorrow. In this case, it's better to rest early. When I open my eyes tomorrow, it will be full of things. Thinking of this, Li Sijing adjusted the driver's seat and laid down to rest with her eyes closed. Tomorrow will be a new challenge.